Okay, good morning, good and to USA and good evening to India. And we are going to start our webinar series 3. I am Professor Dr. Vivek Gupta. So I am very much thankful to our guest of honor and chief guest, I would say, although on webinar it's very interesting. And Mr. Kailash Vijayvargiye sahab will be joining in a while. But I think I can see our Honorable Minister for Health, Mr. JP Singh, who has joined, but I cannot see his video. I request him to.
Yeah,
can I? I want to see. Yeah, Honorable Minister is here. Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Honorable Kailash Vijayvargiye sahab is busy in a meeting. He will join very soon. He said 5-10 minutes. So let me introduce the panel. I'm thankful to you personally for taking out your time from a busy schedule. आपने जो समय निकाला, आप मुझे बताया गया है कि अगर मैं हिंदी भी बोलूं तो अच्छा रहेगा. So we have international friends. So let me tell you that Dr. Jack Lewin is a very important cardiologist from USA. I'm just seeing him because where is Jack Lewin?
I'm here.
Jack, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, can you just show your face because
here I am waving. I'm waving.
Okay, yes. So Dr. Jack Lewin is I'm introducing you in English because you can't understand Hindi. Do you know Hindi?
Thank you. Only a little bit.
He's a past president of American College of Cardiology. He's a past president of CEO of Cardiovascular Research Foundation. And he's himself doing a research analyst, futurist, he's intensivist, vast experience. And maybe we hope that he may turn out to be WHO director in a few years' time. My best wishes to you. So other speakers, sir, are myself, and then Mr. Jack Lewin will speak. And by that time, if we have Mr. Kailash Vijayvargiye sahab, then he will speak. Or else I will request Honorable Minister to give his message. Let me introduce Jack. He's a very important minister from the most populated state and biggest state of India, and that is Uttar Pradesh. And it has a population more than United States of America, and it is 22 crore. That means in million, 220 million, which is much ahead of USA. So he's equivalent to Donald Trump, I would say, at this present time. And then I will introduce Dr. Hiremath. He's our friend from Pune. He has a vast experience on interventional cardiology. He is one of the founder of CAD meeting, which is very important interventional meeting in Bombay. He's calling from Pune. And this program, then we have Dr. Yashpaul Sharma and Dr. Asokan. He's from Kerala, Calicut. He's a past president of Indian College of Cardiology, immediate past president. And then we will have Dr. Yashpaul Sharma, who is a professor and head PGI Chandigarh, cardiologist. And then we have friends from Uttar Singh Rawat, who is from basically Paris. And this program, sir, is going live on Facebook Live of India and also Indians in Paris, which is having 25,000 participants. So without wasting much of time, I would like to start my topic of presentation. So this is actually the flyer which we made. And Dr. Jack Lewin, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Agarwal, who is the president of IMA, immediate past president, will be joining at sharp at 8 or just before 8. He's busy on a meeting, and then Madhvi Agarwal, and then we'll have some song from Mr. Pankaj Jeswani. So I'll now start sharing. I think I have not shared the slide. I will show it without sharing my slides. So let me share the screen. So this was the screen which I wanted to show you, that it will be myself, then Dr. Jack Lewin will speak, and then Honorable Minister will speak. And by that time, Mr. Kailash Vijayvargiye will join and he will speak, and Dr. Agarwal, who is basically president of Heart Care Foundation and past president of IMA, will speak. And then we'll have other speakers. So I'm going to share another set of slides so that I start my talk, and then Honorable Minister will speak about the Uttar Pradesh and social messages. He's a very learned person, Dr. Jaipratap Singh, and Health Minister of Uttar Pradesh. So this is my slides, which I want to show you. I will take about 10 to 15 minutes. And this is COVID-19. We all know that we are suffering for the last 6 months. Indo-European course on revascularization is our body, which started in 2008. And at that time, we had started from 2008 when the chief minister was Sheila Dikshit ji, and then we do the conferences in London, Paris, Amsterdam, Rome, and Zurich. And now we are doing webinar. This is 10th webinar in the series. We have done webinar earlier. This is 10th in the series. And you can see the top with Dr. Jack Lewin, Hiremath, Agarwal, PK Asokan, Kailash Vijayvargiye Sahab, Honorable Minister Sahab, Madhvi ji, Susmati Malik. In place that now we'll have another singer, Pankaj Jeswani. Globally, it is huge numbers which we are affected. We all know 67 lakhs affected, more than around 4 lakhs deaths all over the world. If you see the global perspective, the first million were in April 2nd, April 15th, 2 million people affected, April 27th, 3 million affected, 4th million, May 8th, 20th May, 5th million, 30th May, 6 million. So it has been quite rapid. The doubling time in India has been 14 days, which is little of concern these days. USA has been 33 days, Brazil 13 days. Brazil and India are competing as far as doubling time is concerned. Russia 18 days, Spain 47 days, UK 35 days, Italy 55 days. So you know that we started with Wuhan, then Italy was affected, followed by it was actually Spain, and then of course United Kingdom, France, and other European countries. All other places it is on the decline, while India is still having the graph which is going up. So the graph has not flattened. So India crosses 22 million to 200 lakhs and Delhi to 200,000 deaths. Delhi affected Uttar Pradesh. The figure maybe I've taken just now from the WHO, 9,000 people affected, but Delhi is 25,000, deaths 650. So I think Honorable Minister and your Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji has done a good job in containing the figures in Uttar Pradesh. If I'm wrong, because I took this figure, if I'm right, I took the figure from the WHO website just now. America is the worst affected as such overall. We know that, Jack will know that you have huge deaths, but I think that your graph has flattened. So coming on to the graph which I wanted to show you, this was June 1 highlight. The curve in the Italy was peaking at 8th April, on 31st May, it has flattened. It's flattening down. Brazil is going up, South America, while Russia is still going up. Spain has come down, Europe has come down, India and Latin America is the worst affected. And coming on to the next slide, which we have, is that decoding the Delhi spike. The Delhi, I will tell you, Jack, that we were testing not many. Now India is testing about 9,000 people per million. Earlier it was only 700 cases per million, that was April. Then we picked up to 1,500. Delhi was maximum testing. So the spike in Delhi is possibly related to the testing which we have started there. And I would request Hiremath to tell me about Maharashtra, because that is the second of most important state which is affected. Contact tracing app. I would like to tell you, the Honorable Minister as well as people, that we all have downloaded. But today morning, I got a call from Taj Mansingh, very senior executive. He said his father-in-law got infected and he was sitting with him for 2 hours. I just wanted to know the gap. Where is the gap? And he said his contact tracing app says that he's still in the green zone. So that I think we have to do something more about Arog Setu, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, to work on it, that a lot of people who are coming in contact, still they are shown as a protected green zone. The Sweden plant was actually very badly affected, and Sweden, we know that they thought that they will do herd immunity. And this was actually, and there were a huge number of deaths. So herd immunity is not possible. US tragedy, we all know, death crosses. Fauci, who is the director coming from actually USA, he says vaccine is not possible before 3rd year. So I will skip few slides. This is an important slide I want to highlight here, that most of the countries, they started unlocking themselves. The lockdown which started with the Honorable Prime Minister on March 24. We have started unlocking ourselves now. But most of the other countries, they started unlocking when the curve was flattening. Unfortunately, in India, it's the only nation which has started relaxing its lockdown before the flattening of the curve. So this is a little intriguing, and this is something which has to see, our government has to see that are we really doing good by unlocking, or should we have some other things? This is what we do in angioplasty. When we do now, we have started, if you recall, Hiremath, we were not using even the mask or the cap during angioplasty. Now we are so much concerned that we are using so much of protection. The Apollo Hospital was one of the first hospitals to start giving the beds. I was on TV on, this was only 4 days back on Republic Bharat. where I told that 87 beds have been reserved in Apollo. We are short of beds. At least 5 calls I get every day. Every day I get about 5 calls for getting the beds. Yesterday we had to refuse a patient coming from Kailash Hospital, Noida, who was on ventilator, and the Kailash Hospital, Noida is not authorized to keep the COVID patients. But we could not take that patient at the Max Hospital, the government hospital, they were all full. So it's a very unfortunate condition, Jack, here, that we have to really increase the numbers because numbers are going up and we are losing the patients. And this is an economic burden. I'm not going to, this is my talk. I will finish in next 10 minutes, but giving a little more highlights because people on the Facebook Live in America, as well as in Paris, France, 25,000 people are connected. They're all listening to us. So I will tell you that this is a virus disease, but not a simple virus. खांसी जुकाम बुखार वाला virus नहीं है. This is a dangerous virus because it has a high contagiosity. यानी कि infection होने की संभावना बहुत ज़्यादा होती है. At the same time, it has a death rate about 5% for general population and about 15% for heart patients and about 20% for the people who are more than 80 years. So the immunity is a very important thing which is there. Whenever there is an infection, the immunity develops and IgM and IgM antibody, and depending upon these antibody, we have either herd immunity, that means the general immunity, or we'll have the immunity for the people for the plasma treatment, which I'll tell you later. Cytokine storm में चीज होती है, इसकी वजह से death हो जाती है, and the patient dies because of acute respiratory distress syndrome. We have many examples even in Apollo Hospital where we have lost patients. Clinical symptoms is only pneumonia and fever, but many times there are people who are not able to diagnose. A final diagnosis is actually clinched by the PCR test, and the PCR test is a test which is taken from throat secretion. As I told you, India is now testing about 10,000 per million, which is quite good as such, but not matching the Germany standard, which is 25,000 per million. 25,000 per million is being tested in USA and Germany, and USA is testing about 20,000. But considering that we have a huge population, I would say we are satisfied with our testing, 20,000 per million. PCR test is done for the throat secretion, and the radiological diagnosis is also important, which is CT scan. Patients, when we are not able to diagnose, let me tell you to the general public that PCR test जो करते हैं, it has a also false negative. यानी कि patient को बीमारी तो है, लेकिन उसका test positive नहीं आया. अगर patient को classical symptom है, then we will like to do a typical CT scan, which is a ground glass appearance that will final test. As I told you, 2 tests, PCR test and antibody test. Antibody test is being developed by National Institute of Virology, Pune, which is India's first testing kit. It is to be launched as such. As I told you, 9,000 people per million we are testing. And that we had earlier the IECR study, only 7%. This is very important. Viral load. This is a new concept. The viral load, what do we mean by viral load? If you are high in viral load, then you have a high chances of infecting others. If you have a low viral load, so ICMR only yesterday, they have said that not only we will test, but also we will try to find out the viral load. So according to ICMR, only 7% of coronavirus samples have a high viral load, meaning that these people would on average transmit the infection to 6 more people. The vast majority, 84%, are low infectious, transmitting to only 8.8 per on average. 9% have a moderate viral load. So they are doing the testing with the help of CT values, cycle threshold. One indicator is cycle threshold. I want to tell you a little more detail because there are a lot of doctors who are involved here. RT-PCR test जो अपोलो में भी होता है, उत्तर प्रदेश में भी हो रहा है, नोएडा में भी हो रहा है, इसमें फ्लोरेसेंट सिग्नल आते हैं. Depending upon how fast the fluorescent signal comes, that depends upon the CT value, and that will tell us whether the patient has a high viral load or low viral load. If somebody has a low viral load, then he will be not infecting others too much. So this was the thing. How the medicines work. The medicine work, the virus enters the cell, hydroxychloroquine work here, while remdesivir antiviral medicine, they work at the level of RNA-dependent bodies. So coming on to the hydroxychloroquine, I would like to spend about 1 minute again for maybe somebody will repeat it. It is one of the important agents for prophylaxis. I will tell you historically, if you remember February, China had issued the guidelines that it should be used for treatment. अच्छा ठीक है, thank you. लिंक मैंने भेजा हुआ आपको, मैं फिर से भेज रहा हूँ. इसको लिंक भेजो इनको विशेष को. So I just got a call. Honorable Kailash Vijayvargiye will be joining very soon. They wanted a link, although I sent it earlier. So China was the first to say that it is useful in the treatment. So this is important. February. That time, people did not believe much. The French people, they did a study of 1,000 patients. April 9, 1,000 patients. And they said it has a high level of treatment possibility, 99% success, 0.4% death. This is France. Later on, there was study came recently, the Lancet, by Americans made a mess about it. At that time, Donald Trump was so happy that he requested our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, to stop ban so that the hydroxychloroquine could have been exported. And a lot of huge amount was exported. But later on, April, FDA, they said that it should be used in emergency cases. Later on, this is a very story. US hospitals stop using HCQ as it may pose a risk. So this is very intriguing. But today, as we all know, it has been restarted, trials restarted by WHO. So it has been, but ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, is very clear. For prophylaxis, I have taken myself, I think Shirish, you must have taken, healthcare workers, 400 milligrams, once only, two times, and then repeat every week for 7 weeks. Very simple. I am giving to all my policemen. I am also giving this medicine to nurses, to my staff, to my housekeeping boys, and people who are living with me. But this is something I would say that Indian Council of Medical Research does not agree, and we as a doctor in India do not agree with what Lancet study has shown in America. The reason being that they had taken only obese people, जो मोटे थे, diabetic थे, वही लोग उसमें लिए गए थे. इसलिए Lancet study is not to be believed. That is why WHO has again restarted the trial, led by Dr. Tedros, who is a very controversial as of now. Possibly Mr. Donald Trump will, if he was in USA, he would have been removed. I'm coming to repurpose medicine. कौन-कौन सी दवाइयाँ हमारे पास हैं जिनका हम इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं? Before that, I would like to highlight, because Honorable Minister is also listening, my father has been a very important research worker in Indian Council of Medical Research. Shirish, you should listen to, please listen to this. He has, at the age of 82, he has sent a letter to Prime Minister Office and Minister of Health Welfare. I'm not giving the name of the medicine, but very important medicine, very common medicine, which is being used in Gorakhpur and East UP as a very important. He says that this drug can be very useful in the treatment, but we need a trial of only 14 days. So it is again under consideration, because we spoke to one of the joint secretaries of PMO that the trial should be started, because as of today, koi bhi aisi rambaal dawa nahi hai, and we have deaths coming every day. So I would request through this webinar that maybe ICMR or maybe Uttar Pradesh government or maybe inside Apollo, we can start the trial of 14 days of this medicine, and we may be successful. Sun Pharma has started a trial on Nova Mostat, which is important. Ivermectin is a very important medicine. I don't know why India has not yet started the trial. This is a trial in USA. It is an anti-inducible medicine. Efficacy of reducing the virus. So I would say that I think we are maybe starting a trial in Apollo Hospital, because we have 87 beds and a lot of patients we are treating. Remdesivir is an antiviral medicine which has been approved by the FDA, but unfortunately, till day before yesterday, not available in India. Glenmark company and other companies now have got the rights to sell in India. So it is very unfortunate, despite WHO giving a clearance to this medicine about 4 weeks back, it was not available to us. Use of mask. Today only, there is now legislation in Delhi that anybody without mask on the road will be challaned by 500 rupees. So this is important. I want to give you a historical part. Honorable Minister is listening. On March 26 on television, I spoke that mask for everybody on the road. People were laughing at me, why mask? Don't create panic. I said this is something which is important. And again on March 29, I used the word angocha. So I used the word angocha at that time, and Honorable Prime Minister actually used gamcha on the 1st or 2nd, 3rd of April. So this is important. Wearing mask at home also is important for those people. For example, myself, I am a healthcare worker. I come to hospital every day. So there is a study which has been done and published only 5 years back that everybody who's going out of the house should use the mask at home. Vaccine, another 6 months. We had a webinar with Italy, with France, with America, and Jack will tell again that vaccines are still long time away. There are more than 70 vaccines being tested worldwide. Oxford University was the first to start the human trial, and later on other Italy started, and now in India we have monoclonal antibody, something which is very important. Why Israel is not releasing it? They said initially that they have an antibody which can kill the virus instantly like plasma therapy. If they have developed this, they are waiting for the patent. This is unfortunate. I spoke to people in Israel. Why you are not releasing this antibody for the use in the market? They said we are waiting for the patent. It's unfortunate. So if the vaccine does not come at all, there was a doubt that if that, like for example, HIV, we do not have vaccine today. We have many diseases. If the vaccine does not come at all, we have it. So finalizing my slide, initial line of treatment is vitamin C 1000 gram per day plus. This is important. I would say vitamin C will increase our immunity. I remember the study of vitamin C, and that is minimum of 10 gram per day. So whenever I write vitamin C, I write like 2 tablets twice a day for everybody. Zinc, hydroxychloroquine, as I told you, is very important for healthcare workers, but also for the patient. But now they say only for 4 days. But I would like to extend my guideline if the patient is not getting better. The hydroxychloroquine also for the prophylaxis and also for treatment. Azithromycin and of course doxycycline. These are the antibiotics. Death rate has come down from 7.7 to 3% in Mumbai. It's a good news. Most lives are lost from day 7 to day 14 when febrile stage is over. When the fever is over, then only the patient dies. Jack will tell more because I think it's a cytokine storm rather than not the cytokine storm, but it is something related to myocarditis and heart attacks, which will happen there. So come there, high oxygen is required. Antibody tests are not to be done for diagnosis. It is only for the patient for the plasma treatment. I have to finalize this because I have a long study, but I would like to give you plasma treatment is a very important, which is the antibody taken from the people who have survived. जो patient उनकी body से plasma निकालते हैं 4 हफ्ते के gap के बाद जो plasma निकल आता है उसको हम infuse करते हैं to the patient who is sick. It is still under investigational by ICMR. Herd immunity, that means immunity for everybody. This is something like that. Everybody, no mask, nothing, no social distancing. Everybody will be immune, few will die. So this is something which happens to all virus disease. But here, because of the high infectivity and high mortality, we cannot depend upon this. अगर लॉकडाउन ना लागू किया होता, स्वीडन ने बोल लिया बड़ा खतरा, ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज है. स्वीडन ने हर्ड इम्यूनिटी के हिसाब से लॉकडाउन नहीं किया. They did not do lockdown, and they had a huge number of deaths. Stockholm, number of deaths were there. This was a Sweden COVID-19 की रणनीति गलत रही. They were believing on the herd immunity, and that is why they had a huge number of deaths. This is as confirmed by the daily confirmed COVID-19 per million was 7-day rolling. It was more number of deaths per day wise because they did not have the lockdown. So I would appreciate the effort of our Honorable Prime Minister, our Honorable Health Minister, Jaipratap ji, Yogi Adityanath ji, other Chief Ministers who have actually done the lockdown. But lockdown is now unlocking. So we have to be a little careful. So I finish my talk here because there are so many tries the other people have to speak about. So the China is being abused daily by Donald Trump. Whether we are Professor Hanzo Jonko, who is actually a Nobel awardee, initially he said this is a man-made virus. Later on it was something like that. So I request other people to speak. My final slide, overall mortality is 3%. अगर एज लेस देन 9 है तो उसकी डेथ नहीं होगी. 70 से 80 साल में 8% डेथ, मोर देन 80% 15% डेथ. हार्ट अटैक जो पेशेंट है पुराना उसको 10% डेथ. This is my final slide. I request now if I would like to say hello to Kailash Vijayvargiye sahab who has just joined, and namaste sir, can you hear me? Namaskar sir. So our Honorable Health Minister Mr. JP Singh is already there. So I would request you that if we can have 10 minutes talk from America, then आप बोलेंगे उसके बाद अपने Health Minister साहब. So can we do that like that? Is that serial?
I've got a time limit. I'll have to leave by about 7:45. So I have to go for a meeting.
अच्छा, आपको 7:45 निकलना है सर?
हाँ, हमको because the CM has called us, so then we have to go for a meeting in the evening.
तो मैं एक काम करता हूँ सर, मैं केवल जैक लेविन से कहता हूँ केवल 5 मिनट बोले, then he will because इंट्रोड्यूस कर देंगे, उसके बाद सर आप बोल लीजिएगा, फिर कैलाश विजयवर्गीय साहब, ठीक है सर?
जी ठीक है, हाँ ठीक है सर।
तो I am unmuting Mr. Jack Lewin. Jack, are you hearing me?
I am. I hear you very well.
Actually, there is some time limit constraint. Our Honorable Health Minister and Mr. Kailash Vijayvargiye Sahab, we have to leave in 10-15 minutes. So I request you to squeeze your talk, but I will have 2 times you will talking. Initially, you introduce yourself. Introduce America. Madhvi Agarwal has joined from Calcutta. You talk a little about 5-7 minutes. Then we will take Honorable Health Minister, Mr. Jaipratap, and then Honorable Kailash Vijayvargiye Sahab. As I told you, he is one of the important National General Secretary of BJP and very close to our Prime Minister. Okay,
mute
Jack,
others, please.
Very limited talk, and then we will. You know, you are the master. You know how to do it.
Okay.
Vivek, mute others, please.
Okay. Okay, Jack, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here with you, and thank you for the invitation. I'd like to talk. You know, the COVID epidemic in the U.S. obviously, as Dr. Vivek has mentioned, it's the worst in the world in terms of numbers of people infected. 2 million people infected, and probably many more. Those just we haven't done enough testing yet to know exactly. And 110,000 people dead. New York City, where I live here in Manhattan, is the epicenter because of the density of the population and because New York has 3 to 5 million visitors from international places who arrive on every month or more. And so our hospital, the infection hit here we know from the genetics of the virus, so even though the virus doesn't mutate greatly, that the west coast of the United States was infected from contact from Wuhan directly. The East Coast became infected because of Europeans who came to the United States even after the travel from China was banned. So most of the infections came from Europe to the US. You know, we were overwhelmed because we really weren't prepared as a nation. CDC is a great agency, but over the last 5 to 10 years, it has lost some of its funding and some of its the support it needed. We were not ready for this infection. We did not have enough personal protective equipment, PPE, for doctors and nurses. We did not have enough beds for the patients who hit us. We didn't have enough ICU. Caught in a situation where we were not prepared as a nation. The most significant problem was that the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, developed a test beginning in January, started working on a test that would be available in the United States, and their test was not effective. And so when the infection really hit in March, we had no approved FDA tests in the United States. We were forced to be using tests that were getting emergency approval, and we really didn't have quality control. So the inability to test in the beginning of the infection and the inability to do contact tracing effectively put us in a terrible position, resulting in 110,000 deaths and 2 million people infected thus far. Probably more than 5 million people are infected if we were to test every citizen. The fact that the hospitals got overwhelmed is something that we will learn from. This will never happen to us again. We will be prepared in the future for all of these things, but we're in a terrible situation. Currently, in some parts of New York City, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Queens, the boroughs, more than 40, almost 50% of people by antibody testings have already been infected and got well. Most of those people, fortunately, were asymptomatic. So at least 1 out of 3 people in America are infected and they're asymptomatic. They don't know they're infected. But in some parts of New York City, the overall New York City, about 25% of people show antibodies. But in some areas, it's up to almost 50% now. So now we all know that SARS and Vivek, interrupt me when it's time to allow your dignitaries to speak. But the SARS-2, the CoV-2 virus is an enveloped, single-stranded, positive sense RNA virus. We know that it attaches at the ACE2 receptors We do know, though, that people taking angiotensin converting enzyme drugs, or ARBs, both either ACEs or ARB drugs, did not have a higher risk. We thought they might, but they don't have higher risk of infection or serious infection. But that's where the virus attaches. The virus obviously causes severe acute respiratory syndrome. But as Vivek mentioned later, we think many patients have died of another consequence, an immunologic overresponse, severe cytokine storm, total body inflammatory storm that causes multi-organ damage, hypoxemia, and some is part of the cause for multi-organ damage, but the other is direct viral infection. And so I will go into more of this maybe at the second part of my talk. We have learned that, as Vivek mentioned, that giving oxygen, cannula oxygen, is clearly the best therapeutic approach to people with severe infection. We have questions in the US about whether ventilators are as helpful as we think they are. It seems that people on ventilators who have been on a ventilator more than a week certainly have a very, very bad prognosis. So only about, in fact, less than 20%, in some facilities, less than 10% of people put on ventilators actually survive. So we're wondering about the use of ventilators. We do know that patients who come in when the hospitals are overwhelmed and test positively for COVID, but are not in respiratory distress, should be sent back home to be quarantined at home. But if possible, they should receive pulse oximeters to measure their oxygen levels and then return to the emergency room or the hospital if their oxygen levels fall. So that's probably the best way to manage most of these people. And that's what we've learned in the country here. Most people are being treated at home unless their oxygen levels drop, and then they are asked to come back in. I'll talk about cardiovascular disease and the effect of COVID, but should we pause here and let your dignitaries speak?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Jack, for introducing America. We'll take up questions also, because there are a lot of questions coming from Pune, from Kerala, from Chandigarh, regarding how actually America was worst affected and why, number one, because we are still not flattening. So we have to learn from other countries. So I request Honorable Minister, Mr. Jaipratap Singh Ji, to please come in, because he has to leave for his meeting with Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Yogi Adityanath Ji, and I had a word with him only a few days back, because he's doing a lot of good work. And I congratulate our very learned health minister for doing a good job in containing, at least in Uttar Pradesh, which is the biggest state of India. Sir, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Vivek Gupta, and thank you very much for inviting me on this seminar, along with a whole lot of intellectual doctors and other personalities, including my senior party functionary, Shri Kailash Vijayvargiye, जो हमारे से बहुत वरिष्ठ भी है और हमारे पार्टी के बहुत सीनियर आदमी भी है. So it's a very interesting thing. I would have stayed on definitely after listening to John Lewin on what he was saying. So I'll start from where he was saying that as this pandemic came across the entire world, we also learned along with it. There was no preparedness for anything like this. And so along with our experience, which everybody is sharing around here in every country, and a huge state of UP, Uttar Pradesh, which has a population of 24 crores, we have also learned on the way, and we are also experiencing a lot of new difficulties, a lot of new testings, a lot of new systems where we can try and control this, or at least ensure that the patient who is affected with COVID can recover quickly, even while using Ayurvedic, some sort of medicines and old processes. So in a short thing, I'll just like to tell you that as everybody got affected, and India also got affected in a big way, Uttar Pradesh has always been in the center of everything in this country because of our huge population, and with whatever medical facilities we have today, healthcare facility we have today, we have to manage within that. I would like to say that when the COVID patients started coming into Uttar Pradesh from March 8th, we had already started screening people at our Nepal and UP borders, which we have entry points of 19 points at the airports in Lucknow and Varanasi. And we started getting all our facilities together. As of today, two things I'd like to say. One thing is that once when we started in end of February and early March, we just had one testing laboratory, which was in our old institution, King George Medical University, which is a well-known medical college, which used to give us about 200 to 300 results in a day. That's about all. And today we have come up to about 12,000 tests per day by installing different kinds of machines, RT-PCRs all over in the medical colleges and using private labs and everything. So we managed to do about 12,000 testings per day as of today. And we also started the pool testing, as you must be knowing. We went into the pool testing with batches of 5, with batches of 10, and with batches of 25, where we are trying to get the maximum amount of testing done today. The other thing is we've already prepared to have 105,000 beds, which we have in reserve today, in case the numbers go up to that. You have shown us the numbers of UP, which is on your WHO dashboard. We have about the total amount of cases which has come to us today since the last 3 months is just about 9,300. We have a recovery rate about 55%. And our active patients, which we are treating today in this huge population, is just about 3,500 something odd. That is the position of UP today. Now, the other thing is we had a huge problem of migrant laborers coming in. Everybody knows about it because everybody saw it on TV and the way we got it in. Whatever it is, we have today got about 32 lakhs people coming in from various state governments, which have come into UP and which we have, we've sort of tabulated it, we've made a data about it, we have each and every person on our data bank. Now 32 lakhs, when they came in phase-wise, we had a system of putting them into a facility, quarantine facility area, where we started screening them with first just a normal infrared thermometer. And then depending on the symptoms which he had or didn't have, we should shift him to the home quarantine. Now we have a large population of people in the home quarantine where we have a system where our ASHA workers are going from home to home in the entire state. And we've already covered about 18 lakh home quarantine people, where we've checked them and the families as to what sort of symptoms they have in the last 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, whatever it is. And according to the feedback we get, we started doing the sampling of whoever it is expected to be doing. So these two things we've done in the last 2.5, 3 months. The other thing which we're now seeing, because with the influx of the migrant laborers, Eastern UP belt. So UP is a very large area. So Eastern UP belt, which is maximum amount of migrant laborers coming in, we had expected a lot of people to be infected coming from Delhi, from Mumbai, Gujarat, which is happening, but not to the percentage of what we expected. So what we've started doing is, and as you're a doctor, Dr. Gupta, so you must be knowing, ILI cases and SARI cases, SARS and SARI cases, ILI cases, we are now identifying them in the villages and we are picking them up and putting them into the hospital because they are the ones who are getting converted to COVID. So in a big way, we are doing that. We are trying to identify people who have high blood pressure and diabetes. A lot of comorbidity is coming in with diabetes and high diabetes and blood pressure, and people have been, some deaths have occurred due to that also. So and in the same village where we have a home quarantine patient, what we are also doing is at random picking up samples from there. So 100 samples we are now picking up from any part of a village apart from the home quarantine people, and we are giving them for testing to see how many of them have been infected. So within this 3 months, we have also learned along the way. We are also ensuring whatever facilities we have, we are keeping them ready. We are using oxygen cylinders, just as Mr. John Lewin said. We have got oximeters which we are putting on people to see the oxygen levels. And we've got TrueNet machines which we've installed in each and every district hospital of our huge amount of within Uttar Pradesh, 75 districts, where they can identify whether the patient who's coming in for treatment is a negative patient or a positive patient. All these parameters and all these equipment we've got into place today so that we can manage this huge population and try and ensure and reduce the number of deaths also at the same time by putting in an infection preventive control protocol which was laid out by the WHO and by UNICEF, and ensuring that all doctors who are treating, whether they are private and whether they are public, must maintain a certain protocol, must maintain cleanliness in the entire facility, and ensure that they are wearing their PPE kits and the N95 masks and whatever else is out there. So in short, I've tried to give you a picture of what UP is facing and how we are coping up with it. And I'm quite confident with all our parameters in place, with all our equipment in place, no matter how much the migrant labor is coming in a huge way, and the numbers may go up a little, that's not a problem. We want to track every individual who has a COVID, whether he's symptomatic or asymptomatic. So we are trying our best to do the maximum amount of testing so that we get more patients out. When we take out more patients out, so I think we can reduce the figure of death also, which is not much according to a national figure or to UP, but we ourselves feel a little this thing that we maybe our figures are a little high on the death side, which is about 245 just now, when you compare to a population of 24 crore. But we feel we can reduce this also further by ensuring all these practices are put in place. So I just wanted to say this in short, and I hope I'm being able to convey what UP has been doing. Of course, under the leadership of our esteemed Chief Minister, Yogi Adityanath, who has actually put in a lot of work 24 hours by ensuring that all of us work also 24 hours and make sure that we go down to the villages and ensure that everything is in place and intact. So that is what I wanted to say.
थैंक यू वेरी मच ऑनरेबल जयप्रताप जी, आपने बड़ा अच्छा बोला है और वी आर एक्चुअली रियली प्राउड कि उत्तर प्रदेश में, तो लखनऊ का रहने वाला हूँ, कि वहाँ पे जैसे दिल्ली का, महाराष्ट्र को देखिए, उत्तर प्रदेश में डिस्पाइट हैविंग, आई थिंक द पीपल आर नॉट सो रिच, अदरवाइज वी हैव ए लार्ज पॉपुलेशन ऑफ लो मिडिल क्लास, डिस्पाइट दैट यू हैव बीन एबल टू कंटेन इट. मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि अगर 5 मिनट रुक जाए, मैं आई वांट टू इंट्रोड्यूस माधवी अग्रवाल. शी विल बी, शी इज एक्चुअली बीजेपी लीडर फ्रॉम कलकत्ता. बट बिफोर दैट मैं ऑनरेबल अपने कैलाश विजयवर्गीय को नमन करना चाहता हूँ. नमस्कार. एंड मैं चाहूंगा कि 2 शब्द आप बोले, और इनफैक्ट आप ज्यादा भी बोले. आज मैं चाहूंगा कि आप रुके, क्योंकि पिछली बार आपको वजन नहीं हो पाया था जॉब फ्लेक्सेस की वजह से. और मैं ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर साहब को कहूंगा कि थोड़ी देर रुके, आपका थोड़ा सा सुझाव से दें. इज अ वेरी लर्नड पर्सन.
मैं कोशिश करूंगा, मगर वो मुख्यमंत्री का बैठक भी है, तो कहीं फिर ना
आप सिर्फ 5 मिनट सुनिए सर का बस, क्योंकि इनके पास इंदौर वाज अ
कैलाश जी को नमस्कार.
माधवी जी आपको नमस्कार कर रही है वेस्ट बंगाल.
कैलाश जी नमस्कार, आपको भी नमस्कार.
जी नमस्कार आपको.
सर आप शुरू करें अपना डिलिब्रेशन और बताएं कि इंदौर को कैसे किया, पूरे इंडिया को कैसे किया, बिकॉज यू आर नेशनल जनरल सेक्रेटरी, यू आर रिप्रेजेंटिंग द होल इंडिया एज ऑफ नाउ. बताइए सर.
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर विवेक गुप्ता, आपके प्रयास की सबसे पहले सराहना करता हूं. फिर मैं उत्तर प्रदेश के माननीय हेल्थ मिनिस्टर्स को बधाई देना चाहता हूं. आज योगी आदित्यनाथ जी का बर्थडे है, तो मेरी शुभकामनाएं मुख्यमंत्री जी तक पहुंचा दीजिएगा.
बिल्कुल पहुंचा
निश्चित रूप से उन्होंने अपने कार्यकाल में जिस तरीके से प्रशासनिक धाक जमाई है, और विशेषकर जो प्रवासी मजदूरों को लाने के लिए और कोटा के विद्यार्थियों को अपने प्रदेश में लाने के लिए जो साहस दिखाया, एक बार फिर से मैं आपकी सरकार की और योगी जी की प्रशंसा करना चाहूँगा. आपने बाहर से प्रवासी मजदूरों को अपने यहाँ लाए और लाने के बाद क्वारंटाइन किया, और आपने मरीजों की संख्या बढ़ने नहीं दी. एक तरफ बंगाल है जहाँ की मुख्यमंत्री आने नहीं दे रही मजदूरों को, और ब्लेम कर रही है कि मजदूरों के कारण बंगाल में संख्या बढ़ी है. तो ये दोनों अलग अलग राज्य है जहाँ पर आप अपने प्रदेश के मजदूरों को ला रहे हैं, न सिर्फ ला रहे हैं, उनको रोजगार भी दे रहे हैं. दूसरी तरफ एक ऐसा प्रदेश है जहाँ का मैं प्रभारी हूँ, वहाँ मजदूरों के साथ बहुत ही भेदभाव हो रहा है, और यहाँ तक कि उनको अपने प्रदेश में आने से भी रोका जा रहा है. तो एक बार फिर से आपके प्रयास की सराहना करूंगा. मंत्री जी, आप मुख्यमंत्री जी को मेरा संदेश भिजवाइए, आपकी सरकार बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही है.
मैं दे दूंगा.
बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ताओं की भी शान बढ़ेगी. विवेक जी, आप बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि जो कोविड-19 है, इसका अभी तक कोई वैक्सीन मिला नहीं है. तो एक दूसरे से एक्सपीरियंस के आधार पर ही हम डॉक्टर्स को और एक दूसरे को समझकर, और इससे हम मरीजों को ठीक कर सकते हैं. मुझे बहुत प्रसन्नता है, देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जैसे ही कोविड आया उसके ऊपर जब देखा कि दुनिया के अंदर कोई वैक्सीन नहीं है, तो फिर हमारे यहाँ की जो आयुष विभाग है उसको सक्रिय किया, और आयुष विभाग ने अलग अलग इम्यूनिटी पावर बढ़ाने के लिए एक एडवाइजरी जारी की. मैंने देखा, मैंने जैसे ही एडवाइजरी को पढ़ा, और मैंने अपने इंदौर के सारे हॉस्पिटल्स के डॉक्टर्स को बुलाया, और मैंने कहा एलोपैथी का ट्रीटमेंट कर रहे हैं, क्यों नहीं हम इम्यूनिटी पावर बढ़ाने के लिए हम आयुष मंत्रालय का काढ़ा दें. मैंने डॉक्टर से पूछा कि मैंने कहा आप एलोपैथी दवाई देते हैं, यदि आपके पेशेंट को मैं हल्दी का दूध पिलाऊं तो आपको क्या तकलीफ है? बोले कोई तकलीफ नहीं। तो मैंने कहा बिल्कुल आप ये भी इसके साथ कर दीजिए। फिर हमने कहा यदि उसको च्यवनप्राश भी खिलाया जाए तो क्या तकलीफ है? बोले कोई तकलीफ नहीं। तो बोले ये आयुष मंत्रालय का एक एडवाइजरी आई है, इसका काढ़ा भी यदि हम पिलाएं हम तो उसमें क्या तकलीफ है? बोले कोई तकलीफ नहीं। इंदौर के सारे डॉक्टर, सारे हॉस्पिटल्स ने आयुष विभाग की जो एडवाइजरी आई थी, वो काढ़ा, वो च्यवनप्राश, वो हल्दी का दूध पिलाकर हमारे यहाँ डेथ रेट बहुत ज्यादा थी, 26%, वो अब जाकर बहुत कम हो गई है। उसका कारण है कि हमने पेशेंट को मेडिसिन तो दे ही रहे हैं उसको ठीक करने के लिए, पर इम्यूनिटी पावर बढ़ाने के लिए भी हमारे यहाँ डॉक्टरों ने आयुर्वेदिक का भी प्रयोग किया है। तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि ठीक है हम एलोपैथी भी दें, शायद आपके यहाँ भी मंत्री जी शायद एम्स में इस प्रकार के प्रयोग हुए जो मैंने समाचार पत्रों में पढ़ा है, तो इस प्रकार के प्रयोग होते रहना चाहिए। तो मैं डॉक्टर विवेक गुप्ता साहब आपको बधाई देता हूँ, जिस प्रकार आप कॉन्फ्रेंस करते हैं, अलग अलग चिकित्सा जगत के लोगों से आकर एक दूसरे के एक्सपीरियंस को शेयर करवाते हैं, तो ये सबके लिए बहुत अच्छा है। मैंने पिछली बार भी सीखा था, अभी भी आज भी मेरे लगातार अपॉइंटमेंट है, पर आपका आग्रह था तो मैं आ गया। तो मैं एक बार फिर से इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में जुड़े हुए सभी मित्रों को बधाई देता हूँ और धन्यवाद देता हूँ। डॉक्टर विवेक गुप्ता, आज मैं फिर इजाजत चाहूंगा क्योंकि मेरे सीधे अभी लगातार रात को 10 बजे तक वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस भी है और कुछ अपॉइंटमेंट भी है, कुछ एमएलए वगैरह हमारे बाय इलेक्शन हो रहा है, तो कुछ कार्यकर्ता नीचे बैठे हुए हैं, मैं उनको छोड़ कर आया हूँ। एक बार फिर से आप सबको बधाई देता हूँ और इजाजत भी चाहूंगा जाने।
मैं एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रहा था सर आपसे। आपने कहा कि च्यवनप्राश हम लोग दे सकते हैं। एक्चुअली जैसे मैं अपोलो हॉस्पिटल में अपना मरीजों का इलाज कर रहा हूँ कि अभी तक कुछ गाइडलाइंस ऐसी आ गई हैं कि जैसे कि मैं हाइड्रोक्सीक्लोरोक्विन कहते हैं 5 दिन तक मत दीजिए। हमारे पेशेंट सीरियस पड़ा, इज ऑन वेंटिलेटर। मैंने कहा इसको कंटिन्यू करने में क्या नुकसान है? क्या तो वी कैन नॉट गो बियॉन्ड द गाइडलाइंस। दूसरी बात, जैसे रीपर्पज मेडिसिन हमारे फादर ने जैसे बताया एक दिया हुआ है, वो दवा वापस देना चाहते हैं, तो हम लोग बंधे हुए हैं यहाँ पर दिल्ली में खास करके। वी आर टाइड अप विद द गाइडलाइंस एंड वी कैन नॉट गो बियॉन्ड दैट। तो आप ये एक तरह से, क्योंकि आप बड़े जुड़े हुए हैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस से भी, तो कुछ दवाओं को स्पेशली देने की इजाजत होनी चाहिए डॉक्टरों को भी और अस्पतालों को भी। इस पे मैं आपको एक लेटर लिखूंगा, इसको आप आगे फॉरवर्ड करिएगा, बिकॉज दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट। हम अगर चाहे च्यवनप्राश देना,
आप मुझे पत्र दीजिएगा, मैं
ऑफिशियली आपको मेल करूंगा, उसको आप आगे पीएमओ से बढ़वाइएगा कि इस तरह की, बिकॉज देयर इज नो स्पेसिफिक मेडिसिन, पीपल आर स्टिल डाइंग। हम लोग जब मरता है पेशेंट बड़ा खराब लगता है। यंग आदमी 54 साल, 53 साल, 26 साल, ऑफ कोर्स 3% है, लेकिन काफी ज्यादा लोग की डेथ हो रही है। मैं आपको लेटर लिखूंगा, इस पे आप हेल्प करिएगा। और मैं ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर साहब से भी कहूंगा कि आपको भी एक पत्र लिखूंगा कि जो दवा है जिसका काफी इस्तेमाल ईस्टर्न यूपी में हो रहा है, हमारे फादर लिखा है, उसको ट्रायल 14 दिन का ट्रायल में लेके आए तो इट विल बी वेरी यूजफुल। अगर फायदा हो गया तो ह्यूमैनिटी के लिए फायदा होगा। हमारे फादर ने करीब 150 रिसर्च पेपर इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ मेडिकल रिसर्च में, किंग जॉर्ज मेडिकल कॉलेज लखनऊ में थे प्रोफेसर, बट ही वाज एसोसिएटेड विद ICMR for several years and he is very actively involved in research today also.
इसको देख लेंगे हम। तो आपसे इजाजत चाहते हैं, हम भी निकले भाई।
माधवी जी एक बार कहना चाह रही थी नमस्ते, फिर उसके बाद इनको भाषण बाद में लेंगे।
अच्छा जी।
Thank you so much for everybody and I'm thankful to both the dignitaries for coming in and we'll talk later on. Thank you. Now we will request the next sequence would be Jack will finish his talk and then Dr. Hiremath, Agarwal will join later on. So I'll request Jack to come and finish your talk and then we'll take question answers. And Dr. Hiremath is a very important cardiologist. Today he's our friend for a long time. He will be speaking after you and then we'll take other people in between. If KK Agarwal comes, then he will take his, because he's the president of Indian Medical Association, past president. He will speak on behalf of IMA. So Jack, please continue your talk. I think I have unmuted you.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. I'm back. So thank you very much, Dr. Vivek. To summarize, the U.S., before I talk about the cardiovascular complications, we had a late response. We didn't have enough testing. We didn't have the right public health interventions. We were unprepared for the fact that 1/3 of people who get COVID are asymptomatic and can be spreading it all over the place. And after 10 weeks of shutdown, we are now reopening the country. People are very fearful that we're opening in a way that could cause another wave of infection because 90% of America has not yet developed antibodies to this virus. And complicating that, we have demonstrations all across the country in anger of a black man who was killed by the police in the state of Minnesota. So people are gathering in unsafe ways, and we're worried about a second wave. The cardiovascular side of COVID is really very significant and something all of us on this call should be concerned about. You know, I mentioned that the acute respiratory syndrome is the primary pathological results in death, along with the parallel and later severe cytokine and inflammatory damage to multi-organs around the body with hypoxemia and direct viral impact. Cardiovascular disease has been a significant part of the mortality in the United States. People with pre-existing cardiovascular disease have very poor outcomes. In fact, they are 5 times more likely to die than those without cardiovascular outcomes. Cardiovascular disease is a more significant warning about high mortality over hypertension, obesity, and immune compromise. So it's very, very serious. Cardiogenic shock is how many patients actually present at the hospital when they come in too late. We know that myocardial injury occurs directly from the virus. Many patients have viral myocarditis, and some of those people develop myocardial infarctions or exacerbate heart failure and present in the hospital with an MI or heart failure caused by COVID. Others come in with severe coagulopathies. We have seen young people with no risk factors that we know of who come in with strokes and severe venous thromboembolic events. And this is scary because this is occurring in people who are late teens, in their 20s or 30s, more likely than older people. Although we know that microcoagulopathy occurs in older patients as well, which is why I'll mention later that anticoagulation may be an important therapeutic option for people with acute coronary syndrome presentations and other problems. We've discovered that an elevated troponin level is a very, very significant factor in predicting mortality. So we should be measuring troponin in our patients coming in. Now, while most cardiovascular events have presented more as acute coronary syndrome rather than STEMI, we have seen STEMI. And there is a significant controversy about what to do in the treatment of STEMI. We heard on the last presentation from our colleagues in Dubai that they really believe that going to fibrolytic therapy, going back to fibrolytic therapy is a better way to approach a patient with STEMI rather than PCI. But in the US, we have been using PCI in general and not fibrolytic therapy. So I'm really look forward to collaborating with the people in other countries to see what we should be doing here. This is an important area. Acute heart failure it shows up in about 20% of the patients presenting with cardiovascular symptoms and cardiomyopathy in many. We do not know whether these are due to underlying cardiovascular risks that were pre-existing or whether this is direct COVID attack of the myocardium and the pericardium, but we need to find that out. And we're trying to do some research in these areas. And we also see people presenting with dysrhythmias and obviously coagulation effects. Because of the economic collapse that occurred in the United States and in many other countries due to the shutdown, what we've also seen is patients without COVID who come in and die of myocardial infarction or die at home of myocardial infarction or heart failure at home because of their fear of coming into a facility where COVID is present. So we've seen a very significant and hard to measure, but increase in deaths due to MI and heart failure in patients who do not have COVID, but fear going to the hospital. In terms of treatment in the US, remdesivir has demonstrated some effectiveness in reducing the length of stay for hospitalized patients and reducing mortality, although it is not a very significant effect. It's a modest effect. So we're looking for other therapeutics. You mentioned hydroxychloroquine. In the US, we've really moved away from that. I agree with you Dr. Vivek, that the Lancet studies were flawed and should not be the last word here. And many people here are using hydroxychloroquine and believe it may have a prevention of effect more than it does a treatment effect. With very large studies of hospitalized patients, we did not see a benefit for hospitalized patients with hydroxychloroquine therapy with or without the azithromycin in combination. We do see, though, that some patients have benefited from interferon and ribavirin and some typical antiviral therapy. And we're seeing some benefit, but we need to do more studies on reducing the inflammatory and cytokine response using tocilizumab and prednisone. So these are the main therapeutics in place right now. I'd have to say that we're really wanting for a powerful therapeutic regimen. We do not have that yet. So the future for us is we're fearful about a second wave. We want to prepare for that. We want to be ready this time, have completely available testing. And in fact, in terms of testing, I will say that antibody testing is being used widely to determine who has immunity and allow those people to return to frontline positions because of their risk. We don't know how long, obviously, the immunity will last, but we believe, as with other coronaviruses, that it will probably last at least a year. And so we're testing widely with antibody testing across the country now, and we're developing much more sensitive and high specificity antibody tests. And these tests are becoming more and more available. We're hopeful that new tests related to CRISPR technology for both antigen and antibody will be available. These tests would cost as little as $3 or $4 or $5 and could provide results in 5 minutes and might even be available for point of care and home testing. So these are in process, but not quite yet available. We're also uncertain about where we're going with vaccines, but 5 vaccines out of 12 that had NIH funding toward them have become the finalists. They're entering phase 3 now with enrolling people for their phase 3. And we expect that we'll have an answer from these 5 big studies, academic center studies, in late 2020. And a vaccine could become available. This would be the best of options, that we would have a vaccine available in production in late 2020 and try to immunize at least 200 million people in this country in early 2021. I am part of a program here called Rebooting America, which I'm going to test first with the Veterans Administration, which is the largest hospital system in the country. It's a government-run hospital system for people who served in the military in the United States in their lives. And the Veterans Administration, has millions of patients. It has 380,000 employees. We're beginning with the veterans employees because they've had a very large number of COVID infections and a significant number of deaths among doctors and nurses because they weren't prepared, because they didn't have the right protective equipment at the beginning, and because there hasn't been enough testing. So Rebooting America is going to get people back to work in both public and private businesses by the use of testing, the use of contact tracing, and the use of science and data-driven approaches to allow people to come back to work safely. That means we'll be doing frequent testing for people in high-risk jobs, and we'll be doing periodic antibody testing to see if we've missed people. We'll be symptom checking people every day. They will get a temperature check every day, and they will only get into work or potentially onto an airplane or potentially into a store or a restaurant if they have on their cell phone a QR code that shows their current viral status, their current symptom status, and this will enable people to move around more safely in the United States. So that's Rebooting America. I'll let you know more about it later as we test it out. And I thank you very much, Dr. Vivek, for this opportunity to speak with you. I would be available to answer any questions as they appear later on.
Thank you very much, Jack. As you know that we have a lot of questions because we are learning from other places. And I was impressed that Uttar Pradesh is having a much less number as compared to Delhi, whether they're testing less or not. So I will request now with Dr. Hiremath to please tell his Maharashtra experience and his own personal experience. He's a very important interventional cardiologist, good friend of ours. He is involved in our meeting of IECR since 2008. He was the one who came when Al-Gribi was there. If you remember, if you recall that time, 2008,
Right.
he came to Gyan Bhavan and then you were there. But he's a very important, he's doing huge numbers. His numbers of angioplasty, I think the maximum in Pune or maybe number 1 or 2 in the Maharashtra. He's a big complex angioplasty teaching courses, and he's a good friend of ours. So he will speak about, initially he talked about what COVID is affected, how Pune and Bombay. And then you take up the part which is cardiology and COVID.
So good evening, everybody. And Vivek, thanks for the invitation to join this interesting webinar. I come from a city which has Serum Institute, and Serum manufactures vaccine. And people who don't know, the Serum vaccine, every few seconds, one baby is getting a Serum vaccine poked across the world. So whoever gets the correct vaccine across the globe, the serum would be the final path in which I'm sure the vaccine will be supplied to the masses. So that is a little bit about my city. Pune, along with Mumbai, unfortunately had a big number. I think Bombay is a natural entry point for many of the flights. I think that's why Mumbai got the load first, and it was easily passed on to Pune. So it is a little bit unfortunate, but whenever we have seen the ST elevation MI in the city of Pune, which is COVID related, like patient has no risk factors, no previous background, COVID positive, and now an ST elevation. Based on the Italian experience, we lyse this patient, wait for a COVID positivity or negativity to come, which takes a few hours, and then get them to cath lab with all the precaution based on whether they are positive or negative. We do have plentiful PPE kits, so all these cath lab procedures are done with PPE kits. So that is about the treatment of ST elevation. The non-QMI, we like to go in the slow path, like they would be managed with heparin group of medication. If they stabilize, probably do an angiogram to check if the angio is high risk or average risk. I would also feel these people can go for a CT angio, which could be non-invasive, and then decide when you want to schedule them, immediately or a few weeks later. Though I'm not sure whether how many weeks later is going to be the correct timing. The chloroquine, my hospital has a staff of 3,500, and the chloroquine was given to all of them much earlier, I mean, as a prophylaxis. They were monitored for QT intervals, and chloroquine-related issue, we didn't see a single one. Whether it offered a perfect prophylaxis, it's very hard to say, because we did have a few numbers, and whether the others got prevented because of chloroquine or no, we don't know. But I, for one, would believe that the health workers, doctors who are coming directly in contact with the patients who are COVID positive, prophylaxis with chloroquine is perhaps the strongest factor we have in our armamentarium. So we stay together, think together. I think we all agree that the virus is switching its targets. The goalpost is changing. So there is no one treatment which is going to be correct treatment for all the time. The clot formation is probably a newer concept. It was not there in the earlier phase when the virus was, say, around first week of March. So therapy also is going to get changed, and I'm sure all of us need to think together. Thank you indeed.
Thanks, Hiremath. You stay back, and we'll have Yashpaul Sharma and Madhvi Agarwal will speak about Kolkata. But I think before that, I'll introduce my friend, Dr. Saytender Singh from Bareilly, who is very important. He is a nursing home himself. He's a hospital owner. And he will just talk a little bit about what's going on in Bareilly. Asokan will be there after a while. And now I will request Yashpaul, please come in, because Agarwal will take a long time. And then I'll request Madhvi Agarwal to speak something, and then Asokan, and then Saytender Singh. So Yashpaul, I'm unmuting you, and you have to unmute yourself, I think.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek. It is really nice, this one program today. I am really thankful to the Honorable Health Minister, who gave a very important information, which will be for all policymakers across the country, that RT-PCR should be available everywhere in the district hospital. And if it is done, I think that will be very good to track all patients. And also, Honorable General Secretary, Mr. Kailash Vijayvargiya, who told that these things should be given. Basically, I was also same view. Why we cannot give Chyawanprash? Why we not give haldi and this? Because this is a part of our diet only. And I want to add, Dr. Vivek, we in PGI, we are giving IV iron, because you know iron is a patent of India, PGI, that if you give iron, their saturation doesn't fall. And in fact, iron is such a therapy which even for the failing heart, the ejection fraction improves, mitral regurgitation, aortic regurgitation, stenosis, all improve. So WHO, I think, has given a wrong view that hemoglobin 11-12 is normal, which I am telling in the various DM fellow classes, that normal is normal, average can never be normal. Average is equal to average, normal is equal to normal. So basically, if you maintain the hemoglobin 15 to 17, 14 to 16, majority of the things improve. So that is number one. And regarding sepsis also, that sepsis should be treated very early. This one should not wait that when sepsis occurs by the time patient has multi-organ dysfunction. As Dr. Hiremath said, we from the very beginning were saying, even December, January, earlier also, that in the infection there is a hypercoagulable state, and this infection is usually preceded by virus. As our experience earlier, I told COVID-1, MERS, H1N1, during that time the MI in elderly used to increase, and they have a cardiogenic shock, etc. So basically, our experience was for that. So we were giving thrombolytic and followed by 2B3A inhibitor after 4 to 6 hours, and maximum medical therapy, and also maintaining shock also. So that is what we could save majority of the patients. And one thing I want to add, that elective cases during this time should not be done, because we have to win the situation, this war. If we start taking elective cases, there will be mixing of COVID, non-COVID, or patients who are elective. When they are in hospital, even negative patients, they can become positive after 4 or 5 days in the hospital. So at that time, all healthcare workers will be exposed. So government should have a policy that during this time, OPD elective cases should be very, very different way. Elective cases, one can give date of 3 months, 4 months, but emergency and best management of COVID and non-COVID emergency should be our aim at this time. Because if we take too many fronts, we will lose the war. So one thing is maximum number of tests, maximum number of precautions, and as we were discussing, that mask and face shield for all healthcare workers, for all politicians, for all meetings, for all places where there is a crowded places. I think this will make a dent on the spread of infection. So face shield, you were saying 150, for we have made just 5-10 rupees by transparent sheet and just attaching Velrock. So it is such a thing which will be less than a mask cost. So mask along with this face shield will help in spreading the disease. So I think with this, I just maybe later on we can have some discussion. And in the end, I say today is really very, very good for policymakers and for institutional heads that they should increase the number of tests. And the test, PCR is not a very big test. It is RT-PCR, which can be done even in the periphery. All private hospitals, all dispensed PHCs, district hospital, So basically that is the crux. No patient will need ventilator. It is just a myocardial protection and this building of the patient and his nutritional support. So that's what I want to ask Dr. Vivek. And I really congratulate you and all the speakers who really gave a very, very important information to all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yashpaul from PGI Chandigarh. I have to introduce Dr. KK Agarwal has just joined. But before that, I have to introduce Mr. Pankaj Jeswani, who will be talking a little later, because Dr. KK Agarwal has a little limited time. Pankaj Jeswani is a very celebrated singer. I will share his phone number. He comes to all programs of mine, and he sings quite a good song. So later on, we'll have it. Before Dr. KK, if you can give me some time, I will request, because Madhvi Agarwal is an important person from Calcutta. She is a socialist and the important board of governors in youth ministry. Also media spokesperson was West Bengal and the thorough BJP leader. She would like to speak about a few minutes, and then Dr. KK Agarwal was just joined because he has to go again on to TV shows. So he will be talking about. So I request Madhvi ji to speak about why she is not happy with the. You have to unmute yourself.
Sure.
Yes, okay. Why you're not happy with your government, which is even Kailash Vijayvargiye साहब ने भी कहा कि आपको वर्कर नहीं आ पा रहे हैं, प्रॉब्लम है, तो why? Tell me crisp about that issue.
Thank you, Vivek ji. Thank you so much. Now today I'm like to speak in Hindi, if you allow me. Actually, बात ये है कि पूरे देश में जो है लॉकडाउन चला और उसके बाद सरकार के जितने भी इंस्ट्रक्शंस थे, मोदी जी के जितने भी इंस्ट्रक्शंस थे, उन सारे इंस्ट्रक्शंस को लोगों ने बहुत अच्छी तरह से फॉलो किया और जिसका जो परिणाम है वो देश में देखने को ये मिला कि जो एक चेन थी, उस चेन को हम लोग ब्रेक कर पाए। जो संक्रमण की जो तादाद हो सकती थी उसमें काफ़ी कमी आई। और जब तक ये लॉकडाउन चला, लॉकडाउन के का कारण ये था कि जो कोई भी देश इस तरीके के संक्रमण के लिए तैयार नहीं होता है और वहाँ बहुत सारी, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी जो मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज हैं हमारे देश में अवेलेबल, वो सारी जो मौजूदा जो रोगी हैं उनके लिए ज़रूरी है, जो ऑलरेडी कई सारी बीमारियों से ग्रस्त हैं और उनके इलाज के लिए जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, मेडिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, उसके लिए वो ज़रूरी है। और ऐसे में ये महामारी का आना, जो कि जिसके बारे में पता नहीं है कि इसका इलाज किस तरीके से होगा, इसको रोकथाम कैसे की जाएगी, इस वायरस के बारे में ज़्यादा जानकारी नहीं है। लेकिन जिस तरीके से जो बाकी देशों से जो हम लोगों को देखकर सीखने को मिला कि लॉकडाउन ही एक ऐसा माध्यम था जिसकी वजह से इसको रोका जा सकता था और इसको रोकने में भारत ने अपनी जो भूमिका निभाई, उसकी वजह से जो रिजल्ट आए वो बहुत ही अच्छे रिजल्ट थे, बहुत पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट थे। क्योंकि ये जो 2 महीने 2.5 महीने का हम लोगों को जो समय मिला, 71 डेज जो हम लोगों का लॉकडाउन रहा, उसकी वजह से जो है मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज जो है अपने आप को इम्प्रूव कर पाई। और इस इम्प्रूवमेंट में ये हुआ कि आज हमारे देश के अंदर में जो पीपी किट्स हैं या जो टेस्टिंग किट्स हैं या जो मास्क की जो प्रॉब्लम थी, आज तक N90 मास्क जो है देश में बनते नहीं थे, वो उसकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जो है वो देश में शुरू हुई, जिसकी वजह से लोगों के पास में मास्क अच्छी तरीके से क्वांटिटी में पहुंचना शुरू हुआ। साथ ही साथ जो लोगों में जो एक अवेयरनेस आई, क्योंकि अब अनलॉक शुरू हुआ है, पहला फर्स्ट फेज जो है अनलॉक का शुरू हुआ है और इस समय लोग जो है वो इतने अवेयर हैं इस समय कि उनको पता है कि अगर वो बाहर निकलेंगे तो किस तरीके से उनको बाहर के माहौल में डील करना है। वैसे तो ज़्यादातर जो प्रोग्राम काम है वो अभी भी लोग घर से ही कर रहे हैं, लेकिन क्योंकि अब ये है कि हम लोगों को इस कोरोना वायरस के साथ में आगे बढ़ के चलना पड़ेगा और कोरोना वायरस के साथ ही जीने के लिए अभी हम लोगों को हैबिचुएटेड होना पड़ेगा। तो जैसे कि अभी बात हो रही है कि जिसमें हम लोगों को जो फेस मास्क है वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, उसको पहनना बहुत ज़रूरी है। साथ ही साथ जो अलग अलग चीज़ों में टच जो करते हैं उसकी आदत एक जो हम लोगों में है वो धीरे धीरे उसकी आदत खत्म करनी पड़ेगी। साथ ही साथ सफाई का जो विशेष ध्यान रखना है, डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करना पड़ेगा। तो वो सारी चीज़ों के लिए इस लॉकडाउन के प्रिपरेशन में जो है लोग अवेयर हुए और इस लॉकडाउन में अपने आप को उसके लिए इस जो अनलॉक जो हो रहा है इसके लिए प्रिपेयर कर पाए। और इस वजह से जो है अब जब चीज़ें शुरू हो रही है, धीरे धीरे पूरा देश अनलॉक की तरफ जा रहा है, सारी चीज़ें, ऑफिसेस शुरू हो रहे हैं, स्कूल शुरू हो रहे हैं, तो उसमें लोग अपने आप को इस संक्रमण से बचाने के लिए मेंटली प्रिपेयर हो गए हैं। सबसे बड़ी बात है कि जो बार बार बताया गया, क्योंकि इसका कोई इलाज नहीं है, उसके लिए प्रिपरेशन ये जरूरी था कि आपकी इम्यूनिटी पावर जो है उसको आपको डेवलप करना है, इसके लिए आप लोगों को काम करना है। आयुष मंत्रालय ने जिस तरीके से इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए, जो कि अभी हमारे माननीय कैलाश जी भी बता रहे थे कि आयुष मंत्रालय से जो इंस्ट्रक्शंस मिले उसको लोगों तक पहुंचाने का काम बहुत अच्छी तरीके से सरकार ने किया, और जिसकी वजह से ये फायदा पहुंचा है कि लोग अब जो है अपने घर में जो है अपनी जो इम्यूनिटी पावर है उसके लिए काम कर रहे हैं। उसके लिए काढ़ा बनाना है या फिर योग करना है, अपनी रिस्पेक्ट जो ब्रीथिंग जो आपकी जो हेल्थ की जो ब्रीथिंग सिस्टम है उसको इम्प्रूव करना है योग के माध्यम से। तो इसकी वजह से लोग, मैं भी जो है घर में इन सब चीजों को फॉलो करी। विटामिन सी जो है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है अभी, कि विटामिन सी की जो खुराक है वो बॉडी में पूरी होनी चाहिए, ताकि बाहर में जो संक्रमण है वो हमारे बॉडी में आए ना, और अगर आ भी जाए तो हमारी बॉडी की जो पावर है वो उससे लड़ने में सक्षम हो। क्योंकि अगर देखा जाए तो इतनी तादाद में आज 2,26,000 के आसपास जो है लोग संक्रमित देश में हो चुके हैं, और आधे जो है इससे आधी संख्या में लोग जो है वो ठीक होके भी गए हैं। तो कहीं ना कहीं जो ठीक हुए हैं, जो मेडिसिन अभी तक अवेलेबल नहीं है, जिसके लिए आप लोग रात दिन जो है कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि मेडिसिन अवेलेबल हो, और सभी देशों के डॉक्टर, खास करके आप जो काम कर रहे हैं, आपने भी बताया कि आपने भी फादर ने जो है वो एक बहुत अच्छी मेडिसिन जिसको बनाई है, जिसके लिए ट्रायल शुरू करना है। तो मेडिसिन आने के पहले जो लोग जो ठीक हो रहे थे, इसके पीछे मतलब यही लगता है कि जो बॉडी हमारी जो हमारा जो शरीर है वो अपने आप को इम्प्रूव कर रहा है, इसी वजह से लोग जो है वो ठीक भी हो रहे हैं। तो यही चीज है जो लोगों में पहुंचनी चाहिए। लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली ऐसा भी सुनने में आ रहा है कि बहुत सारे लोग जो है वो कम एज के लोग हैं, वो भी, उनकी भी डेथ हो रही है, जिनके बॉडीज में अलग से जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, जिनको बीपी की प्रॉब्लम है या शुगर की प्रॉब्लम है, या और कोई जो उनको फिजिकली जो पहले से वो प्रॉब्लम ट्रैवलिंग है उनका बॉडी में, उसकी वजह से डेथ्स हो रही हैं। तो इसके लिए यही जरूरी है कि अपनी अवेयरनेस जो है वो ज्यादा रहे लोगों में, और वो आप लोग रात दिन जो काम करें, आप जिस तरीके से ये वेबिनार के माध्यम से लोगों तक अपनी बात पहुंचा रहे हैं और लोग इसके लिए अवेयर हो रहे हैं, ये बहुत अच्छा काम हो रहा है। साथ ही साथ जैसे राज्य में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इस वक्त जो है कि सरकार, केंद्र सरकार जिस तरीके से इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रही है, उन्होंने राज्यों के ऊपर में ये सारी जिम्मेदारी छोड़ी है कि राज्य जो है वो फैसला ले, और राज्य अपने हिसाब से इस चीज को डील कर रही है कि अनलॉक किस तरीके से कितने फेज में खोलना है। तो मैंने आज बात की कई लोगों से, तो मैं लगातार बात कर रही हूँ, तो मुझे ये पता चल रहा है कि गाँव में, ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में जो है वो अभी संक्रमण की संख्या इस तरीके की नहीं है, और जो लोग, जो प्रवासी जो वापस घर गए हैं, उनके अंदर जो संक्रमण निकल रहा है बस वही संख्या आ रही है, लेकिन इतनी बुरी स्थिति नहीं है जो कि मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटी के अंदर में इस समय बनी हुई है। तो मेरा मानना है कि खास करके दिल्ली, मुंबई और कैलकाटा और जो और मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटी है या जो बड़ी बिग सिटीज हैं, वहाँ पे विशेष ध्यान देने की जरूरत है। और खास करके हर राज्यों के जितने भी सीएम हैं, जितने भी राज्य के हमारे मुख्यमंत्री हैं, उन लोगों को अब ये जो है कोरोना वायरस अपने राज्य में नियंत्रण किस तरीके से करना है, इसकी पॉलिसी बनाते हुए केंद्र सरकार के साथ अपना सपोर्ट करना पड़ेगा, जो कि बंगाल में जो कि देखने को नहीं मिल रहा है। क्योंकि मैंने ये भी सुना कि बंगाल में जो है गिव अप जैसी स्थिति आ गई है, कि उनके पास अब कोई रास्ता नहीं कि वो क्या करे। क्योंकि आप देखिए कहीं भी जो है ये संक्रमण जो है वो 3, 4 और 10 की संख्या में शुरू हुआ, और होते होते ये हजारों में फैलता जा रहा है। तो कहीं ना कहीं जो है राज्य सरकार अगर इसमें और बहुत स्ट्रिक्टली अपने सिस्टम को फॉलो करते हुए लोगों को जो है डील करे, और सारे जो सिस्टम है उनको लोगों तक पहुंचाए, और राज्य सरकार की अब जो बारी है वो है, राज्य सरकार का परफॉर्मेंस जो है वो अच्छा होना चाहिए, जिसकी वजह से अब राज्यों में लोग जो है इस संक्रमण को फैलने से रोक सके, और अगर जो संक्रमित हो रहे हैं उनका इलाज इस तरीके से हो। और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि कई जगह से ये खबर भी आ रही है कि लोग जो है जिनको इस तरीके के लक्षण मिल रहे हैं वो हॉस्पिटल से भाग जा रहे हैं। तो कहीं ना कहीं उनको ये डर है कि कहीं हम क्वारंटाइन में भेजे जाएंगे या हमें उस तरीके का ट्रीटमेंट नहीं मिलेगा, कल को हमारे साथ कुछ हो जाता है तो वो चले जाएंगे, इसलिए डर के मारे जो है लोग भाग जा रहे हैं। तो ये राज्य सरकार की जिम्मेदारी है कि वो ये लोगों के ऊपर विश्वास बनाए भारत के अंदर में, ताकि लोग जो है अपने ट्रीटमेंट में उनका सपोर्ट भी करें। साथ ही साथ राज्य सरकार के ऊपर जो जिम्मेदारी है अनलॉक करने की और उसके बाद संक्रमित लोगों के इलाज की, उनको राज्य सरकार अच्छी तरीके से डील करे, मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ। तो
Thank you.
जी, अगर राज्य सरकार, अब क्योंकि परफॉर्मेंस जो है राज्य सरकार को देना है, राज्य सरकार अगर सही तरीके से अपने सारे सिस्टम को लोगों तक पहुंचाएगी और सही तरीके से संक्रमित लोगों का इलाज और लोगों तक जो है अपनी जो सुविधा है वो अगर सही हो, तो मेरा मानना है कि क्योंकि गांव तक अभी ऐसी आपात स्थिति नहीं पहुंची है, लेकिन शहरों के अंदर में इसको फैलने से रोकना है। तो लोग अपनी तरफ से बहुत अवेयर है, हम अवेयर है, हमारे परिवार के लोग, हमारे जानने वाले सभी लोग इस चीज को जानते हैं कि हमें नहीं निकलना है तो मास्क पहनना है, हमें टच नहीं करना है, एक दूसरे से दूरी बना के रखनी है, सोशल डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करना है। लेकिन फिर भी जो संक्रमित हो रहे हैं, अगर उनका ट्रीटमेंट सही तरीके से हो जाए तो मेरे ख्याल से बहुत जल्दी जो है कि भारत जो है इस संक्रमण से निकल आएगा।
Thank you. Thank you.
कल ही मैंने न्यूज में सुना कि बहुत सारे देश जो है वहां पर 0 हो चुका है, लोग कोरोना फ्री हो चुका है देश। कई सारे ऐसे छोटे देश हैं, लेकिन बड़े देशों में जो अभी रह गया है, तो उसके लिए राज्य सरकार को अब जो है यहाँ पर खास करके भारत में अपनी भूमिका सही तरीके से निभानी पड़ेगी।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माधवी जी, आपने अच्छे वर्ड्स बोले, लेकिन मैं चाहूंगा कि आप रुके और बाकी सुने, क्योंकि अभी 2-3 बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट स्पीकर हैं, डॉक्टर अशोकन और डॉक्टर के अग्रवाल। डॉक्टर के अग्रवाल, इफ यू हैव अनदर 2 minutes, तो हमारे पंकज जेसवानी थोड़ा सा सुना सकते हैं, और यू वुड लाइक टू कम राइट अवे, यू कैन स्टे बैक लिटिल व्हाइल।
विवेक जी आप कंटिन्यू करिए, बिकॉज अनदर 2 minutes आई एम लाइव इन आज तक।
नहीं, आप तो फिर आप शुरू करिए, आप यू, आई वुड लाइक टू हियर फ्रॉम यू, आई वुड लाइक टू इंट्रोड्यूस हिम फर्स्ट, ही इज द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ कॉन्फेडरेशन, बिकॉज
इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे तो मेरा आधा मिनट और निकल जाएगा।
चलिए आप बोलना शुरू करिए।
8:30 आई एम ऑन द लाइव। सिर्फ मैं माधवी जी
कितनी देर के लिए, आप फिर कितनी देर के लिए बात जाएंगे? कैन यू कम बैक अगेन?
नो, इट विल बी हाफ एन आवर प्रोग्राम, आई कैन कम एट 9, बट 9 o'clock आप खत्म हो जाएंगे। तो मेरा जो है अभी 3 मिनट पे जैसे ही कॉल आएगा, जब तक कॉल नहीं आता मैं आपके साथ में हूँ आज इंडिया टुडे से। तो छोटी सी चीज को मैं शेयर करना चाहूँगा मेडिकल फ्रेटर्निटी में, बिकॉज जब हम मेडिकल फ्रेटर्निटी में बात करते हैं तो हम रियलिटी की बात करते हैं, वी डोंट टॉक पॉलिटिकल। अगर हम रियलिटी की बात करते हैं तो 31 जनवरी को हमारे यहाँ पहला केस आया। हम लोगों ने सोचा कि ये निपा की तरह केरला इसको मैनेज कर लेगा, हमने केरला को इसके ऊपर में छोड़ दिया। उस वक्त में आइडियली हमें इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर सील कर देना चाहिए था, नहीं किया, कोई बात नहीं, बिकॉज वी ऑलवेज लर्न लेसन्स। फरवरी के महीने में हम लोगों ने कुछ नहीं किया। मार्च में 22 मार्च को हमने लॉकडाउन किया। 2 महीने हमने लॉकडाउन को सोचा। तो लेट्स बी वेरी क्लियर, आवर पर्पस ऑफ लॉकडाउन वाज नॉट टू इरेडिकेट द डिसीज फ्रॉम आवर कंट्री। मेडिकली वी नेवर, द डिसीजन वाज लेट्स लर्न समथिंग, लेट्स प्रिपेयर समथिंग। So this lockdown has only helped us rightly, but that was the need of the hour. क्योंकि अगर हम ये सोच के आते हैं कि लॉकडाउन हमें 0 करना है, लॉकडाउन से हमें बीमारियां खत्म हो जाएंगी, तो वो 31 जनवरी को होना चाहिए था मेडिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से। अब इस लॉकडाउन से बीमारी हमने पोस्टपोन कर दी। पोस्टपोन का मतलब है आज मान लीजिए 2 लाख केस हैं, तो कल 4 भी होंगे, 8 भी होंगे। हम कहते हैं कि ये केसेस 30 दिन पहले नहीं होते, तो अगर हम आज ये कसम खा के चले कि इस लॉकडाउन के कारण से 30 दिन के बाद में वो सिचुएशन नहीं आएगी जो 30 दिन पहले आने वाली थी, तब लॉकडाउन को सक्सेस मानेंगे। सो इस वक्त में द मैसेज शुड गो वेरी क्लियरली टू द पीपल दैट लॉकडाउन खत्म हो गया है, लेकिन पर्सनल लॉकडाउन खत्म नहीं हुआ। हम अनलॉकिंग बॉर्डर्स की कर रहे हैं, पर्सनल अनलॉकिंग नहीं कर रहे। मेरा सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग, मेरा फेस मास्किंग चालू रहेगा। साइंटिफिकली जब भी लॉकडाउन चलेगा, आर वैल्यू 2.6 से 1.5 आएगी। जैसे ही लॉकडाउन खत्म होगा, वापस 2.4 पे आएगी। केसेस बढ़ेंगे, हम रोक नहीं सकते। लॉकडाउन कंटिन्यू कर नहीं सकते। लॉकडाउन आंसर अकेला नहीं है। लॉकडाउन ने जो करना था वो कर लिया। अब हमारे को, हर आदमी को अपनी सोशल लॉकडाउन करनी है, अपनी सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग करनी है। दैट्स इंपॉर्टेंट। नंबर 2, मैं सिर्फ माधवी जी की एक बात से मैं बात को नहीं मान रहा। लेट अस लीव इट टू द स्टेट्स। नो, इट्स ए पेंडेमिक, इट्स एन एपिडेमिक, इट्स ए इंडियन पेंडेमिक। इट इज नॉट गुजरात, वेस्ट बंगाल और दिल्ली ए पेंडेमिक। अगर सारे स्टेट्स पॉलिटिक्स लड़ेंगे, अभी हर टीवी चैनल पे मैं जा रहा हूँ, बैठ के सुन रहा हूँ, सब पार्टी आपस में लड़ रही है, मेरा स्टेट, मेरा स्टेट, मेरा स्टेट, मेरी बीजेपी, मेरी आप, मेरी कांग्रेस। नहीं, इस वक्त में मेरा देश है। एवरीबडी हैज टू सिट टुगेदर। पेंडेमिक्स आर बियॉन्ड पॉलिटिक्स। यू कांट से कि मेरा रेट, दिल्ली वाले बोल रहे हैं मेरा रेट जो है पूरे नेशनल एवरेज से अच्छा है, मेरी मोर्टेलिटी कम है, वो कह रहा है मेरी मोर्टेलिटी कम है। इस वक्त में मेरा देश है, पेंडेमिक इज मेरा देश। सारी पॉलिसीज, वो कह रहे हैं आईसीएमआर की गाइडलाइंस है, वो कहते हैं एनसीडीसी की गाइडलाइंस है। इस वक्त में मेडिकल फैटर्निटी में टोटल क्योस है, टोटल क्योस है मेडिकल फैटर्निटी में। मेरे पास में राइट ही नहीं है पेशेंट को लिखने का कि मैं टेस्ट करा ले। अगर मैं पेशेंट को लिखता हूं कि ये टेस्ट करा ले, इंक्वायरी हो जाती है कि आपने कैसे लिख दिया कि आप पेशेंट को टेस्ट करा ले। मेडिकल डॉक्टर्स को कोई आज की डेट में, सब स्टेट्स का अलग अलग है। कोई स्टेट कहती है कि डॉक्टर देखेगा तो एक्शन लेंगे, दूसरी स्टेट कहती है नहीं देखोगे तो एक्शन लेंगे। पेंडेमिक कैसे चलेगा? पेंडेमिक तो नेशनल पॉलिसी हो, सिंगल पॉलिसी हो, डिक्टेटरशिप हो। पेंडेमिक कैन नॉट रन कि सब सोसाइटी अपने आप करें, स्टेट्स अपने आप करें। दिल्ली कहेगी कि बॉर्डर बंद कर दो, वो कहता है बॉर्डर चालू कर दो। ऐसे नहीं हो सकता, पेंडेमिक नहीं लड़ सकते हम लोग। तो मैं जानबूझ के मैं माधवी जी को बोल रहा हूँ, हाथ जोड़ के मेडिकल फ्रेटर्निटी की तरफ से, हमें एक आदेश दो, हमें अलग अलग पॉलिटिकल आदेश नहीं चाहिए। भारत की एक पॉलिसी दो, हर डॉक्टर उससे लड़े और हम इससे लड़ सके। मैं डिबेट नहीं कर रहा माधवी जी, डिबेट करनी होगी तो आराम से मैं आधा घंटा डिबेट कर सकता हूँ। मैंने सिर्फ अपने पॉइंट्स रखे हैं। इस पॉइंट्स को आप मंथन करिएगा, चिंतन करिएगा इस पॉइंट्स के ऊपर में, क्योंकि मैं पूरे मेडिकल फ्रेटर्निटी का प्रेसिडेंट रह चुका हूँ, अभी 19 मेडिकल एसोसिएशंस का प्रेसिडेंट हूँ। तो मैंने चिंतन करके ये बात बताई है कि आज की डेट में डॉक्टर्स आर कंफ्यूज बिकॉज देयर आर मल्टीपल पॉलिसीज। आईसीएमआर कुछ कहता है, कभी सत्येंद्र जैन और हर्षवर्धन आपस में लड़ते हैं। लड़ो, पब्लिक में तो मत लड़ो ना, लड़ो। मैंने कहा लड़ो, पॉलिटिकल लड़ाई लड़ो, पब्लिक में क्यों एक्सपोज कर रहे हो कि लड़ रहे हैं? फिर सारे मीडिया चैनल उसी के ऊपर में, सत्येंद्र जैन हर्षवर्धन की लड़ाई, वो मीडिया न्यूज हो गई, पब्लिक तो पागल हो जाएगी ना।
मैं कुछ बोलना चाहूंगी
मैं एक चीज बिफोर माधवी जी, अभी आपके पहले अभी कैलाश विजयवर्गीय साहब भी थे और अपने उत्तर प्रदेश के हेल्थ मिनिस्टर मिस्टर जयप्रताप भी थे। They were feeling very high about the country system. I completely agree with के अग्रवाल साहब की। लेकिन मैं सोचता हूँ, इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ मेडिकल रिसर्च ने जैसे अपोलो जैसे अस्पताल पे कह रखा है या और जगह भी कहा होगा, यू कैन नॉट गो बियॉन्ड द गाइडलाइंस। आज डॉक्टर्स खुद, हाँ वही तो कह रहा हूँ, गाइडलाइंस तो आज कल है कुछ और है।
गाइडलाइंस आर नॉट मैंडेटरी, गाइडलाइंस आर गाइडलाइंस,
ओनली गाइडलाइंस नहीं है, इट शुड नॉट बी मैंडेटरी,
इज नॉट ए लॉ।
मैं अपनी बात रखना चाहूंगी, हुई है। आप बोल लीजिए अग्रवाल जी, आप बोल लीजिए।
मेरा टाइम हो गया, आप करिए फटाफट, क्योंकि आई हैव टू इमीडिएटली लीव। तो आप बोलते जाइए, जब तक मेरा फोन नहीं आता आप बोलते जाइए।
नहीं, मुझे बस इतना बोलना है कि बिल्कुल आपने जो बोला है, मैं इस बात को लिख भी रही हूँ और बोल भी रही हूँ कि इस महामारी के समय में किसी तरीके की राजनीति नहीं होनी चाहिए। ये हमारे देश का संकट है, ये हमारे विश्व का संकट है, और इस देश के अंदर में सबको एकजुट होकर ये लड़ाई को लड़ना पड़ेगा और जीतना पड़ेगा। लेकिन समस्या क्या है कि ये चीजें जो है लोगों को, सबको एक बराबर सोचनी पड़ेगी। अब क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं राज्य सरकार के हाथ में ये जिम्मेदारी दी गई है केंद्र की तरफ से कि आप अपने राज्य की थोड़ी सी समीक्षा करें, आप अपने राज्य की स्थिति को बताएं कि आपके राज्य में क्या ठीक रहेगा, क्या नहीं ठीक रहेगा। तो उनको पता है कि ये भला हमारे राज्य का कैसे होगा। अब जो प्रवासी लोग पहुंचे हैं दूसरे राज्यों से, दूसरे राज्यों में, तो वहां पे संभालने की जिम्मेदारी तो राज्य सरकार की है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में केंद्र कितना देखेगी? केंद्र की तरफ से तो बार बार ये गाइडलाइंस दी जा रही है कि आप लोग सिंसियरिटी से लोगों के साथ में सपोर्ट करके पूरा कोऑपरेशन के साथ में इसकी लड़ाई। और ये लड़ाई तो ऐसी नहीं है कि किसी एक दल को होगी या किसी एक स्टेट को होगी, तो ये तो किसी के घर में भी बीमारी पहुंच सकती है।
मैडम जी, ये गाइडलाइंस गलत हैं, उसी को तो हम बता रहे हैं। सारे स्टेट्स इस गाइडलाइंस का फायदा उठा रहे हैं। आईसीएमआर ने क्या लिखा है? आईसीएमआर ने लिखा है डिस्चार्ज पॉलिसी है फॉर होम प्री सिम्टोमेटिक केसेस। प्री सिम्टोमेटिक इंक्लूड्स एसिम्टोमेटिक। और फिर आप बोल रहे हो एसिम्टोमेटिक के
मैं आप सभी लोगों से इस प्लेटफॉर्म के माध्यम से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि
मैं कुछ और बात कर रहा हूँ।
आप सभी ऑनरेबल डॉक्टर्स जो हैं वो प्लीज बोलिए केंद्र सरकार को कि सबके लिए
हमें आज हाई कोर्ट में जाके क्लैरिफिकेशन मांगना पड़ रहा है कि ये सरकार और स्टेट्स आपस में क्यों लड़ रही हैं।
आपने एकदम सही बात बोली है, आपने जो बोला
मेरे कहने का मतलब है कि डॉक्टरों को फ्रीडम दो, फ्रीडम नहीं है,
फ्रीडम इम्पोर्टेंट,
फ्रीडम नहीं है, सब डॉक्टर
आप कुछ नहीं लिख सकते,
किसी को फ्रीडम नहीं है। अगर मुझे अपना टेस्ट कराना है तो मेरे पास में पावर्स नहीं है, टेस्ट करा लूं अपना। आप भी नहीं करा सकते मेरा टेस्ट। अगर मैं कहूंगा कि मेरे पास में मैंने आज 10 पेशेंट भेजे हैं, मुझे डर लग रहा है, मेरा टेस्ट करा दो, ICMR बोलेगी, सरकार बोलेगी, जेल में डाल देंगे अगर आपने अपना टेस्ट कराया तो। फ्रीडम नहीं है।
हमारे माधवी जी बात पहुंचाइएगा, सरकार को बात पहुंचाइएगा कि अग्रवाल साहब की बहुत वैलिड है।
रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि प्लीज
हम कभी और करेंगे,
पर्टिकुलर इस चीज को जो है आप थोड़ा सा क्रॉप अप करके मुझे दीजिएगा ताकि मैं इस विषय को आगे
मैं आप लोगों को नमस्कार करता हूं माधवी जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच। मेरे को वहां से फोन आ गया है and I have to be in the program.
Thank you Agarwal ji, thank you so much. Thank you.
Jack, what we were discussing, let me translate to you. Jack, you are from America. Yeah, okay. Jack, I will just translate you what we were discussing in Hindi.
Hello.
Yeah. So actually, Dr. K.K. Agarwal, who is a past president of Indian Medical Association, is a very important and senior person. He's a cardiologist by profession. And he's also a very big media man because he goes on media various channels regularly. What he was talking was that the various states of India and also the central, we have a union government and we have a state government, as you have in USA. Mm-hmm. So they are not in complete harmony at the moment, and there's a big chaos of the guidelines coming from Indian Council of Medical Research. Doctors are not able to take up the things on themselves, and few states are actually punishing the doctors for giving the test to their patients. That means there is no freedom for the doctors to write. That means he should go for COVID test. So this was a discussion point that there has to be a centralized guideline. And secondly, my viewpoint, as I discussed earlier with you, that the guidelines are only guidelines. The doctor should be given the freedom in the hospitals to extend whatever they feel good for that particular patient, which is not happening in India as of now because of this pandemic nature. And because I want to know your thought process before I take up the other speakers, what is actually happening in America, in USA. Are the doctors completely independent to take the decisions, or they are also guided by FDA?
Yes, thank you. Well, I think you're asking a very important question because, the science of COVID is still evolving. The therapeutics are absolutely evolving. And so I think people have to have some freedom here. Now, as you probably know, according to, FDA guidelines in the United States, even if a drug is, has been approved by FDA for use, let's say for heart failure, you want to use it for something else, you can do that. It's called off-label use in the United States. And so a physician's license allows them to use any FDA-approved drug for any purpose, including unapproved purposes. So doctors do have that flexibility. There is a worry about malpractice if you're doing this in a way that harms somebody and you don't have the guideline behind you. But on the other hand, I think given the extreme nature of COVID, we probably now need to give doctors more flexibility to try things. So we haven't answered the question with hydroxychloroquine. We haven't really answered the question with remdesivir. We haven't really answered the question with interferon, ribavirin, and other antivirals. We really haven't answered the question of whether prednisone or tolizumab is going to be beneficial. But physicians, when possible, let's get engaged in a clinical trial. But when not, and you're faced with a patient who could die in front of you, you should be free to try what you think may work for that patient.
Thanks, Jack, for giving that insight. And that's why, why this question comes to my mind, because we have a lot of patients with COVID. We do video call and we go there sometimes. And when I try to push something that we get our administration does not allow to go beyond what ICMR says. When I say the patient is not, chance of survival is 50% only. And this is a harmless drug. Why we should stick to that particular guideline? Guidelines are only for the guideline. This is what K.K. Agarwal was also saying. The doctor should be given the freedom to treat the patients as they treat. But because this is pandemic, you may get a notice, especially the government doctors. I am a private doctor practitioner, so I can do a little more freedom-wise. But the government doctors, tomorrow they can get a suspension letter or a show cause notice. So this is something very difficult. Asokan, I'll take you a little later because you want to speak now. Because I want Pankaj Jeswani to come in for one song, or you would like to talk now?
You have anointed me, I think.
Yeah. Asokan is going to speak first. Asokan, yes.
Very important discussion we had. The question is discussing about the test and the freedom of doctors in these aspects. Now, when we treat a pandemic, we should follow some guidelines. In this way, I just differ from Dr. Agarwal. He's a good friend of mine, but I differ here. Because in pandemic, we should follow the guidelines of government. It's not only the disease, not only the patient. You have to see the entire management of the entire pandemic area, resources, lot of things we have to see. We should follow the guidelines set up by the government. The guidelines varies from state to state. But geographically is different. Resource-wise is different. So you can't say the guidelines in Delhi, we can't apply in other parts of the country. Or guidelines in Maharashtra, we can apply in other places. Because some places, the resources are different, the patient load is different, the density of population is different, and the hospital setup is different. I think we should follow the guidelines set up, especially during pandemic. But at the same time, you should give some freedom to the doctors regarding the testings. I think we should do more tests, and in that way, that's it. Now, my question is to Professor John Lewin. We have seen the incidents in China, Europe, and this is going on in USA and other parts of the world. Now, some places is declined and is able to control. What we have learned from China and Europe, and have we applied in other countries? We are able to apply. And some places the mortality is still high, some places is very low. Is there any difference in the protocol, in the management? Or is there any difference in the pattern of the disease? Because what we have seen in China and Europe, the prevalence, the incidence of pulmonary thromboembolism is up to the tune of 22%, but USA is only 3.3%. There's a difference. And when we come to the hospitalization, we give more importance to the respiratory symptoms. At the same time, we say that cardiovascular comorbidity is important factor for the mortality. And we are not giving any importance to this as far as the management is concerned. The patient with COVID, with cardiovascular disease, we should hospitalize. It's not the patient with low saturation. If we don't hospitalize, we see a lot of sudden death in the houses, outside the hospitals. I think that's happened in some part of the world. I think we should guide the patients with cardiovascular morbidity, with COVID, we should put them in the hospital and see that whether there is any high risk in that group. And should we see the left ventricular dysfunction, arrhythmias, all these things in this sort of patients. And should be more aggressive in thrombotic management, because all these patients, anti-thrombotic management, all these patients has got very prothrombotic states. We should use more potent antiplatelet drugs like say prasugrel and glycoprotein 2B3A receptor blockers in this group. I think these are the important things I learned. I think it's very important thing I learned today is UP. The government is actually moving, treating the patients in the rural areas, and they are looking for the patient with cardiovascular morbidity and admitting such patients in rural areas. I think the disease is moving from cities to rural because of migrant population in India. And I think we should give more importance to such group, high group of patients, high risk group, like say migrant laborers, and should identify them, look for that, do more tests in such group. Otherwise, we will going to see more disease in rural areas in India, because at present is more disease in cities. And we should give, we should identify such high risk group. And otherwise, as you mentioned, I think you should give more importance to nutrition, as we have discussed.
Well, I would have to agree that if in rural areas or even in crowded areas where people can't safely quarantine, patients who are COVID positive should probably be in some kind of facility, hospitalized in some way to protect the rest of the population around them, particularly if their oxygen levels drop with pulse oximetry. But, I think that, in many, what we've been doing is sending patients home. If you talk about the poor areas of New York City, in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, in Queens, the patient may go home to a house where there are 20 people living. And so that's very dangerous, because then all those people will likely get infected. So in that case, we should protect the home environment or the community. So we do need more somewhat like halfway hospital places where people can be cared for if they're positive, so they don't infect the rest of the community. On the other hand, if someone has a safe place to be and they have enough food and water to exist and they don't have to go out, then they can be cared for with use of pulse oximetry to monitor their oxygen levels. They come back in to be hospitalized if their level drops. You know that most of the death occurs between day 7 and day 14 in the course of infection. So depending where a person is in that process, if they're relatively stable and they've had symptoms for 2 weeks, they're probably going to survive. But if their symptoms are getting worse between day 7 and 14, they need to be on high flow oxygen and hospitalized.
Jack,
It's a tough call.
Before you leave, I would like you to stay back because we have another 15 minutes only. I would like you to show a little New York for this nostalgic view. He's living in Manhattan. Huh?
All right, here we go. Sorry, I don't have a sunny day for you, but I'll show you New York from my apartment.
The Manhattan,
Penthouse.
perfect area to have a view, and he's on the top floor. What is the floor? Yeah.
There is, down in the distance, is the Freedom Tower.
Okay.
There's the Hudson River.
Okay, very nice. It's looking beautiful, eh? What is this building? What is this building? On the
All right. New York, New York.
So which floor you are living? Which floor?
46.
You are the top of the world, eh? You're top of the world. What do you call it?
And you know what I do, Vivek? I come up the stairs for good exercise.
Seriously?
Every day. Every day.
46th floor? 46th floor?
Yeah, as fast as I can for good exercise. Every day.
Oh, you are going to live for 200 years. Okay, so please stay back. Saytender Singh will speak. Pankaj, Jeswani, we have only 10-15 minutes only, but you'll have to hear some songs, listen to some songs. Before that, Saytender would like to ask some question to you. He's our friend from Bareilly, and he had 4 stents done by me. So basically, he's a very nice, thorough gentleman, orthopedic surgeon. I'm unmuting him. I'll unmute you just a minute. I think it's taking a little long to unmute you. So in the meantime, I will take Mr. Jeswani.
Yes, now it's okay.
Okay, please ask your question.
Thank you, Vivek, for a beautiful continuous webinar on the subject of COVID. And I am participating and listening you all for the last, I think, 1 month continuously. And today I'd like to say one thing. Dr. John is here or he has left?
He's there. His video is off, but he's listening.
Okay. What I got from all the conferences and discussions, that we have 2 types of patients. One, those are seriously sick and they need treatment, hospitalization, and another group is mild cases with mild symptoms, not needed any active treatment. So I would like to ask one thing from Dr. Joe. what is
Jack Lewin.
your
Jack Lewin.
protocol? Jack Lewin. Sorry, pardon. Jack Lewin. What is your protocol of treatment in serious patients? I think it's just symptomatic. If the kidney is failing, then you have to treat kidney. If lungs are failing, then you have to push air inside the lungs. And if BP is going down, then you have to lift the BP. I think more or less it's a symptomatic treatment in all the patients. No specific drug has been in, I think we know till now. No antiviral, SCQS and all. So I like to ask how you are able to save your patients and how many patients you save when they go into ICU. Please.
I guess the first thing is, if you can avoid the use of a ventilator, do that. Use high flow oxygen. Avoid the ventilator if at all possible. Also, for patients who have very serious comorbidities, patients who are very, very unlikely to survive, a cardiac arrest should not be aggressively treated. When someone with severe comorbidities, we've been trying to resuscitate everybody, and we're nowhere. Not even 1% survive. You're putting the whole hospital staff at risk for somebody who has very severe comorbidities. They've been sick, and then they have a cardiac arrest. So I think it's futile care for that thing. Otherwise, I think it's going to be individualized treatment. You have to follow the kidneys. You have to look and see whether there's cardiovascular complications, and you have to treat accordingly. I think people are finding that maybe the use of antivirals has some benefit, although more research is needed.
What antiviral?
Interferon, ribavirin, the typical ones, may have some benefit. And treating the cytokine storm. If the patient has a complete total body inflammation, treating the cytokine storm with or without prednisone is probably a value. Antibiotics, for people that have a flare, we see usually high lymphocyte counts, but if you see a high neutrophil count, then probably a bacterial secondary infection is present and antibiotics would be indicated. Each patient has to be treated differently, but you have to treat multi-system disease in many of these patients. Try to avoid a ventilator if you can, because
you advocated steroids
after 7 days on a ventilator is almost 100%.
You just advocated steroids, use of steroid.
Steroids only in cytokine storms.
Yeah.
Okay. In how much dose?
I think treating the cytokine storm is a benefit.
You see, I was thinking why you did not mention about remdesivir. You say interferon and other not remdesivir.
Yeah.
Why?
No, those are antivirals, but ilusimab and prednisone for cytokine storm may be beneficial. We still remember this is a time where we're all learning. So it's not a time that's appropriate for guidelines. We don't know enough yet to create guidelines for COVID.
That's my point, sir.
Yeah.
That was my point actually. We don't have any guideline for treatment. It's all symptomatic on your experience. What I feel.
Okay, thank you, Saytender,
for your
I think you have to individualize. Use whatever you have.
So Vivek, I like to request something to you, because you are always in contact with so many leaders and big leaders of Delhi government. There should not be any fixed guideline to doctors.
Yeah. The other thing I would suggest, though, is
there should not be any fixed guideline to doctors.
This is what I was talking to even Kailash Vijayvargiye, that they have to support the doctors, and the doctors should not be completely handcuffed that they can't go beyond the guidelines. This is what I said.
No, they have to. Doctors need flexibility with COVID. You must have flexibility.
It's very unfortunate that doctors are being guided by non-medical people.
Yeah, that's true. But also, and one good example is as I mentioned earlier, that for STEMI with COVID, it's better to use fibrinolytics right now than PCI. And I think in the US, we're doing PCI with all these people with STEMI, COVID plus STEMI. And I think what we see experience elsewhere in the world is that fibrinolytics at this point may be better because there probably are multiple small emboli in many of these patients. And so the fibrinolytics might not only treats the STEMI, but might also improve kidney function and other organ system function. So we have to be flexible. Guidelines are not available really for COVID. The science is just not well enough known.
Can I ask one question, sir? I think
okay.
Jack Lewin has got a vast experience in primary angioplasty, especially in COVID cases in this era. So in USA, I would like to know what is the mortality in this? Is there a difference in non-COVID and COVID when you do the primary angioplasty? Second question, is there a infection in health workers in the cath lab? Any incidents, higher incidents in this group when you taken up for the primary angioplasty? So two things.
Yeah, thank you. I think for non-COVID, we still would do PCI for STEMI in the US.
COVID with STEMI.
But for COVID, I think we're learning. We may be better off with fibrinolytics.
Yeah, too. See that.
Yes.
And is there a higher incidence, any incidence of health workers who got infection in the cath lab?
Yeah, infection in the cath lab is a high risk. It's a very high risk. So that's why fibrinolytics probably are better. And as I mentioned, the patient may have anticoagulation problems in multi-organs, not just the coronary arteries. So the fibrinolytics may be treating some other systemic problems.
Okay. Thank you so much. And Dr. Yashpaul has already been talking about fibrinolytic therapy, even in cardiogenic shock. So what about Jack? If the patient has cardiogenic shock and COVID positive, what will you do?
Well, we're treating just like we would always with, we treat pretty much the same guidelines we use for cardiogenic shock anywhere. We're trying to keep the blood pressure stable, and we're doing all the typical things, except for the patient actually has an arrest. In many hospitals, they're not resuscitating them if they think that they have zero chance of actually surviving.
Okay, I understand. So let us take a final view, and Jack, stay on Chanada for 7-8 minutes. We'll have a
vasopressors should be used in cardiogenic shock, just as same as any other treatment of cardiogenic shock. Oxygen, vasopressors, and so forth. But anyway.
No, but cardiogenic shock, COVID, you will take to cath lab.
So, pardon?
No.
Cardiogenic shock with COVID. It's about you will put the intra-aortic balloon pump. You are going to cath lab. You're going to save the life.
I think that has to be patient by patient, because you have to look at whether there's really any literally chance of survival in some of these patients. If they're dying of multi-organ disease, you might have to think carefully about that. But yes, in many institutions here, they are using everything.
Patient by patient, I think.
Dr. Vivek.
Very quick, yes, because please.
Cardiogenic shock history is very, very important. In 2002, nobody was taking left main with cardiogenic shock to the cath lab, and they were all going for surgery. Cardiogenic shock, when we took first time in Chandigarh, the questions were how you could take this patient, because insurance was not allowing them to take to the cath lab. So we were the first to treat cardiogenic shock with medical treatment and with this one also. When we presented a case in Lahore, the question was, how could you dare to take this patient? Because insurance and guidelines, they were not allowing, and many patients were saved. So we were taking some patients to cath lab, and some patients we were stabilizing. But with the sepsis, we were not taking the patient, because COVID-1 era was also there, MERS era was there, H1N1 era was there. So if a patient with cardiac shock is taken to cath lab, H1N1 was there. So those patients were getting all death. When we saw that, we stabilized, treated the sepsis, and later on, majority of the patients we could survive. So that's why, by saving the cardiac shock patient, we could decrease the mortality to the least in the world, which I've told 7%, 7 to 8%. This is the first time in the history of acute coronary syndrome. Because there were so many other things also, as I told, hemoglobin was very important, serum albumin was very important, counts were very important. So with multiple these things corrected, even the frail patients at the age of 90 with shock, they could also survive. So that was a very, very interesting and good for this one cardiology.
Okay,
very interesting.
Yeah, very informative. So Jack, I would like to stay back to some Hindi music in the end.
Okay.
And
And I apologize, but I have to leave. I'm sorry I'm going to miss the music, but I thank you all. I'm so honored to have been here with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Vivek.
I will request you for the next time later on when I find a chance for you. Thank you so much.
Very, very much.
Namaste, and thank you for
Thank you
giving.
very much.
Namaste,
Bye-bye.
and thank you
Bye,
for giving.
everybody. Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Pankaj ji, now sorry, उसमें बीच में ले नहीं पाया. There was too many.
कोई बात नहीं, मैं समझ रहा था, बहुत टॉपिक सेंसिटिव था, मैं समझ रहा था.
हाँ, सत्येंद्र सिंह जी को चाहिए इसके बाद. अब आवाज आ रही है, बहुत बढ़िया.
अच्छा, मैं समझ रहा था.
हाँ, ये फेसबुक लाइव पे जा रहा है, काफी लोग देख रहे हैं, मुझे पता है ये पेरिस में जो इंडियंस है वो भी काफी लोग देख रहे हैं. तो आप सुनाइए अब अपना.
बस मेरे लिए तो आप ही काफी हैं, आप लोग ही काफी हैं.
तो मैं चाह रहा था कि आप छोटे से स्टैंडर्ड कई एक साथ सुनाइएगा, अलग अलग.
हाँ, पहले एक बढ़िया सा गीत सुनाता हूँ आपको, माहौल थोड़ा ठीक कर दूं, मैं भी फॉर्म में आ जाऊं. बहुत सुंदर सा नगमा है. तुम हमें जानो न हम तुम्हें जाने, मगर लगता है कुछ ऐसा मेरा हमदम मिल गया. न तुम हमें जानो न हम तुम्हें जाने, अगर लगता है कुछ ऐसा मेरा हमदम मिल गया. ये मौसम ये रात चुप है, ये होठों की बात चुप है, खामोशी सुनाने लगी ये दास्तां. ये मौसम ये रात चुप है, ये होठों की बात चुप है, खामोशी सुनाने लगी है दास्तां. नजर बन गई है दिल की जुबान, न तुम हमें जानो न हम तुम्हें जाने, मगर लगता है कुछ ऐसा मेरा हमदम मिल गया. मोहब्बत के मोड़ पे हम मिले, सबको छोड़ के हम धड़कते दिलों का ले ये कारवां. मोहब्बत के मोड़ पे हम मिले, सबको छोड़ के हम दिलों का लेके ये कारवां. चले आज दोनों जाने कहाँ, तुम हमें जानो न हम तुम्हें, मगर लगता है कुछ ऐसा मेरा हमदम मिल गया. न तुम हमें जानो. अब कुछ आपके मिक्स सॉन्ग सुनाता हूँ, जितना भी समय आपके पास है. समय कितना डॉक्टर साहब? 5-7 मिनट है. आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी? आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही. नहीं, मुझे आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
मैंने कहा कि Dr. Yashpal and Dr. Asokan is also staying back. Satyendra Singh will also sing a small song later on. So अभी आप गाइए।
ठीक है सर।
3-4 मिनट आराम से, 5 मिनट कोई।
मैं एक दो गजल और एक फिल्मी मिक्स करता हूँ।
हाँ बस
मेडले बना के।
हाँ।
ये रिदम के पास ज्यादा तो नहीं है? रिदम ज्यादा तो नहीं है?
बढ़िया बढ़िया।
ओके।
यस।
आप जिनके करीब होते हैं, आप जिनके करीब होते हैं, बड़े खुश नसीब होते हैं। आप जिनके करीब होते हैं, जब तबीयत किसी पे आती है, जब तबीयत किसी पे आती है, जब तबीयत किसी पे आती है, के दिन करीब होते हैं। मेरे जैसे बन जाओगे जब, इश्क तुम्हें हो जाएगा। मेरे जैसे बन जाओगे जब, इश्क तुम्हें हो जाएगा। दीवारों से टकराओगे जब, इश्क तुम्हें हो जाएगा। ना उम्र की सीमा हो, ना जन्म का हो बंधन, ना उम्र की सीमा हो, ना जन्म का हो बंधन। जब प्यार करे कोई तो देखे केवल मन, नई रीत चला कर तुम ये रीत अमल कर दो। कल और आएंगे नगमों की खिलती कलियां चुनने वाले, मुझसे बेहतर कहने वाले, तुमसे बेहतर सुनने वाले। कल कोई मुझको याद करे, क्यों कोई मुझको याद करे, मसरूफ जमाना मेरे लिए क्यों वक्त अपना बर्बाद करे। मैं पल दो पल का शायर हूँ, पल दो पल मेरी कहानी है, पल दो पल मेरी हस्ती है, पल दो पल मेरी जवानी है। मैं पल दो पल का शायर हूँ। हर एक गम तुम्हारा सहेंगे खुशी से, करेंगे न शिकवा कभी जिंदगी से। जहाँ मुझ पे हंसता खुशी हम पे रोती, अगर तुम न होते अगर तुम न होते हमें और जीने की चाहत न होती, अगर तुम न होते, अगर तुम न होते। कभी यूं ही जब हुई बोझल सांसें, घर आई बैठे बैठे जब यूं ही आंखें, कभी यूं ही जब हुई बोझल सांसें, घर आई बैठे बैठे जब यूं ही आंखें, कभी मचल के प्यार से पल के छुए कोई मुझे पर नजर न आए, नजर न आए, कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए, सांझ की दुल्हन
राजेश खन्ना, मुकेश।
आए, चुपके से आए, जाने बहार तुम किसी शायर का ख्वाब हो, चौदहवीं का चांद हो या आफताब हो, जो भी हो तुम खुदा की कसम लाजवाब हो, चौदहवीं का चांद हो।
बहुत 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 बढ़िया, आपने तो मजा ला दिया। और अब समय तो आ गया, लेकिन सत्येंद्र सिंह हमारे बड़े अच्छे दोस्त हैं और इनका एक गाना जरूर सुनूंगा मैं। सत्येंद्र, आर यू प्रिपेयर्ड? इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू अनम्यूट।
क्या म्यूट है शायद, आप क्या सुनाएंगे सत्येंद्र जी?
एक्चुअली उनको म्यूट करना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है, अनम्यूट करना।
अच्छा, वो अपने आप करेंगे म्यूट तो?
अपने आप अनम्यूट करो सत्येंद्र, यू प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ।
हाँ, हमें अपने आप करना पड़ता है।
हाँ जी।
अच्छा, हाँ, कुछ गाना सुनाना चाहते हैं? वुड यू लाइक टू सिंग समथिंग?
अब इतना अच्छा गाना सुन रहे हैं, हमारे पास म्यूजिक भी नहीं, क्या सुनाएंगे?
मैं म्यूजिक देता हूँ, आप
दो लाइन
बताइए कौन
सुना
सा
देते हैं
गाएंगे?
आपको।
कौन सा गाएंगे आप?
सुनाइए।
दीजिए दीजिए।
कौन सा बताइए?
खिजा के फूल पे, म्यूजिक थोड़ा बढ़ा दे तो मजा आए सर। खिजा के फूल पे आती कभी बहार नहीं,
मेरे नसीब में
है दोस्त तेरा प्यार नहीं, मेरे नसीब में है दोस्त तेरा प्यार। बस काफी है, आप सुनाइए।
करीब कैसे मोहब्बत करें अमीरों से, बिछड़ गए हैं
कई रांझे अपनी
हीरों से, किसी को अपने मुकद्दर
पे
इख्तियार नहीं, मेरे
गुड।
नसीब में है दोस्त तेरा प्यार नहीं। एक मैं अगर डॉक्टर साहब के लिए गाना गाऊं, दो लाइनें, इतने दिनों से शो होस्ट कर रहे हैं सर आप, बिना
अरे
किसी,
बिल्कुल गाइए, बिल्कुल गाइए, क्या बात
मैं
है।
जरूर गाना चाहूंगा। सबके मित्र हैं, सबको इतना ढूंढ ढूंढ के कहाँ कहाँ से देखिए इकट्ठा करते हैं और मुझे भी याद करते हैं। देखिए इतने प्यारी शख्सियत, कहाँ डॉक्टर साहब इतनी बड़ी
डॉक्टर
शख्सियत,
अशोकन को भी अनम्यूट कर दो, थोड़ा बोलते रहेंगे, मजा आता रहेगा।
हम छोटे से कलाकार। क्यों जी?
म्यूजिक के प्रोग्राम में डॉक्टर अशोकन को भी अनम्यूट कर दो भाई।
अच्छा, डॉक्टर साहब के लिए ये जरूर कहना चाहूंगा कि ऐसा लगता है कि जिंदगी तुम हो, डॉक्टर साहब
हो नहीं पा रहे, क्या चक्कर है?
विवेक जी,
हाँ जी जी।
ऐसा लगता है कि
अशोकन
जिंदगी
खुद
तुम हो,
अनम्यूट करिए अपने आप को।
अजनबी कैसे अजनबी तुम हो, मैं जमीन पर घना अंधेरा हूँ, आसमानों की चांदनी तुम हो। तो दोस्ती पे तो ये सुंदर सा गीत मैं चाहता हूँ 2 लाइनें जरूर सुनाऊं आपको, आप भी गाइएगा साथ मेरे, ठीक है सर? तेरे जैसा यार कहाँ, कहाँ ऐसा याराना, याद करेगी दुनिया तेरा मेरा अफसाना, तेरे जैसा यार कहाँ, कहाँ ऐसा याराना, याद करेगी दुनिया तेरा मेरा अफसाना।
म्यूजिक थोड़ा लाउड करिए, म्यूजिक नहीं आ रहा सर।
चंद्र जी
म्यूजिक थोड़ा लाउड करिए सर। हाँ
जी?
म्यूजिक लाउड करिए सर, म्यूजिक नहीं आ रहा। म्यूजिक लाउड करिए।
लाउड करो।
हाँ म्यूजिक।
ओके लाउड है। ओके
म्यूजिक नहीं आ रहा सर,
म्यूजिक
नहीं आ रहा।
आपको भी नहीं आ रहा?
आ रहा अब आ गया।
अब थोड़ा आया। गाने का मजा म्यूजिक से है ना सर।
Enter the Bluetooth.
वो हाथ लग गया,
Radio modular.
ब्लूटूथ पे हाथ लग गया।
ये पैसे
मेरी
मांगोगे?
जिंदगी संवारी मुझको गले लगा के, बैठा दिया फलक पे मुझे खाक से उठा के, यारी को मैंने तो खुदा माना, याद करेगी
दुनिया तेरा मेरा अफसाना। म्यूजिक बहुत कम आता है, प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है। अब आया, अब थोड़ा आया।
मेरे दिल की ये दुआ है कहीं दूर तू न जाए, तेरे बिना हो जीना वो दिन कभी न आए। मेरे दिल की ये दुआ है कहीं दूर तू न जाए, तेरे बिना हो जीना वो दिन कभी न आए, तेरे संग
जीना यहाँ, तेरे संग मर जाना, याद करेगी दुनिया तेरा मेरा अफसाना।
यार ऐसा याराना। ये था डॉक्टर साहब के लिए गीत। अब
मजेदार।
Thank you very much. I think this is time to wind off the program. I'll request Asokan. Thank you very much, Yashpaul. But I will request Chinmay, Dr. Chinmay Gupta, as per protocol. He has to unmute himself and say a vote of thanks as a part of IECR, because when he was only 15-year-old, we started IECR in 2008. I think he was 6, 7 plus, yes, 15. And he was helping me out at that time. Asokan, remember, in Paris, Amsterdam, we all were working hard, Zurich, Rome, London. So we all were there and organized this program with the help of our family members. And Asokan has become a family member for me since that time. Okay, so give the vote of thanks, please, Dr. Chinmay Gupta, who is a doctor, fellow in clinical cardiology, has done his MBBS, pursuing his MRCP, and trying to do so many things at the same time, something like developing hospitals, which have been my dream for a long time. So Chinmay, please go ahead with the vote of thanks.
Okay, it was a very interesting webinar with many important topics being discussed today. I agree with most of you that doctors should be given some freedom to choose the medicines what they give in this case. But you see, in normal scenario, a doctor can treat the patient with whatever medicine he feels or he likes. But in this case of pandemic, everyone has their own views. So nevertheless, I would like to thank Dr. Jack Lewin, then our honorable ministers, Mr. Kailash Vijayvargiye and Mr. Jaipratap Singh, Dr. K.K. Agarwal, Dr. Hiremath, then Dr. Asokan, Dr. Yashpaul Sharma, and Dr. Saytender, then Mr. Pankaj Jeswani. Thank you so much for your musical evening at the end.
Welcome.
Okay, so Chinmay, thank you very much. Asokan, you'll agree that we have to wind up this program.
आवाज आ रही है? एक क्वेश्चन पूछूं सर?
हाँ बताइए बताइए.
सर मैं उस दिन भी पूछना चाह रहा था, मैं एक्चुअली बीच में डिस्कशन में आता नहीं हूँ. जैसे कहते हैं भी हॉस्पिटल्स अवेलेबल नहीं है, कई बार बेड्स अवेलेबल नहीं है. आप छोटा मोटा हो तो घर में ही उसका ट्रीटमेंट कर लीजिए, क्वारंटाइन कर लीजिए, घर में इलाज कर लीजिए. ठीक है सर? ठीक है सर. लेकिन इसमें सांस की दिक्कत आती है, रेस्पिरेटरी की भी प्रॉब्लम रहती है, तो उस केस में पेशेंट को क्या करे? क्योंकि ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर तो काम आते नहीं है, तो उसको बूस्टअप करने के लिए लंग्स को, जिसमें कुछ भर गया बलगम या काम नहीं कर रहा, तो उसमें वेंटिलेटर घर में कहाँ से लाएं?
Asokan, please answer. Please reply to his question.
Yeah. First of all, I think we should congratulate you. Even Mr. Pankaj is able to ask all this question, because this is the unique of this webinar. We are coordinating with the politicians and the social workers and the person like Pankaj in such a webinar, and they are participating in this webinar. Now, what is the question he asked?
He asked a question that patients who are mild symptoms,
yeah,
they are supposed to, because there are no beds available. I'm talking of Delhi at least.
Yeah.
So the question is whether then the government is saying, and we also sometimes persuade the patient that remain at home. He said, if we develop some respiratory illness and this cough and breathing hard, and the beds are not available, what should we do?
No, the most important thing is patient with the mild symptoms. The mortality is not that high. But once they develop, like say cough or respiratory problems, then they should be hospitalized. And I think beds are not available. Government should see that beds are available somewhere.
It's not available. I know many relatives, many patients, they are searching and they're gone.
I think this is a very important point. I think we should take up. I think Dr. Vivek Gupta should I think discuss with the other people also, and he's got a very good connection with the government. I think he should put up this matter. But the mortality depends upon the symptoms. Patient has hypoxia and the low oxygen saturation, and patient has a respiratory symptom, should be hospitalized. These are patients should get at least some oxygen, and we should not deny that.
He is not being given
because of lack of oxygen supply. I think
Dr.
question. I think if we will not admit other patients, I think some places the beds are occupied because of the patient with mild symptoms, and they are somehow able to get the beds, and they are hospitalized. And we are admitting. I think we stopped admitting all elective procedures when this epidemic load is very high and the city is more badly affected. I think we should not do any elective procedures, and that procedure should be postponed. And we should give preference to such patients, and government should see that these people are admitted in hospitals and get some treatment. I think it's a very important question. And no patient should die because of lack of oxygen. I think the lack of ventilator.
Dr. Asokan, at this time, there
should be
there should not be any elective procedures.
Patients are not given beds. And no elective procedures. I fully agree with Dr. Yashpaul Sharma. I think it's epidemic, pandemic, we should give importance to these such people, because these people die if they develop this because these patients should be admitted to CCU, should be monitored, and should be given oxygen and ventilator support if necessary. I think it's a very important matter. I think this is I think government should see.
I tell you one example, Saytender, before you speak. Yesterday, day before yesterday, the government of Delhi has introduced an app which will tell the availability of the beds in the whole of Delhi. And unfortunately, for example, the app was showing 20 beds available in Max, or something like in Safdar Singh Hospital, 5 available in Apollo, and when they phoned, there was actually no bed. So the app is not working properly. So as of now in Delhi, we are really facing the crisis because I am myself a sufferer because I have a lot of social circle and I get 5 to 10 calls every day. Yesterday, I was struggling to shift one patient from from Kailash Hospital, Noida. He was almost to get the ventilator. His COVID was positive and we had no bed in ICU. We have already earlier had 8 beds. Now there was a suspect ICU in Apollo, which is MICU. That means before admitting anything to the main ICU, to the coronary ICU, patient will go to suspect ICU. That ICU is completely filled with COVID positive patients. So there are Porta cabin, which is just outside our ICU, emergency ICU near the road. It is also full. So things are actually not easy because the government has to increase the number of beds. And when they claim that the beds are free, is not correct actually. And Pankaj, you see, when somebody is today asymptomatic, today he's not requiring oxygen, he's at home. Tomorrow he becomes hard in breathing. This is what Pankaj wants to say.
Yes, sir. I want to ask, in that critical situation, what should we do?
There's no other thing, you can't do anything. You should have home
Because people are hunting for beds. You know, they are going 5, 6, 7 hospitals, not getting bed.
I think ambulance also, we should be available, ventilator should be available, oxygen should be available in ambulance. I think the ambulance, the patient should be taken in ambulance to the nearby hospitals.
I got a WhatsApp message yesterday.
Nobody is admitting, sir. Nobody is admitting. Nobody is admitting. No one is admitting.
Asokan and Saytender, I got a call from one of the very important person from Taj Mansingh that he has been home quarantined. They know that he's positive and he's an elderly man. And they have not prescribed with a single medicine. There's nobody to help him. So then we ask, the clinical staff calls him. You are, of course, home quarantined. We know because the data shows that you are positive. Then he asked what medicine should take. Then they said, you ask your family physician. And family physician does not know how to treat. So he called me, please send some medicine, type it on a WhatsApp. So the things are actually in chaos. KK Agarwal was perfectly right. The medical part of this pandemic is actually in chaos. And we have to be really looking forward. That's why such webinars are important. And that's why I try to call these ministers, because they can take our words forward to tell them. So that's the last word, and then we finish off.
No, question is clear. Actually, I was confused what he is asking Dr. Mr. Jeswani. He was saying that a person with respiratory distress should stay at home. It's advised. It's not advised, sir.
No, but the beds are not available. This is what he says. Today he's okay. Tomorrow he gets worse. What to do?
When he's not getting bed, what should he do?
That's another issue. Now it's clear. Now it's clear. We'll discuss, sir.
Thank you so much, and everybody. I have to finish this webinar. It's almost 2.5 hours. I'm Professor Dr. Vivek Gupta, just for the purpose of recording and Facebook Live. This was the 10th webinar, actually in live through IECR, and I really appreciate the support of Dr. Asokan. And I have no hesitation and feeling shy that it was Dr. Asokan who advised me and persuaded me to start webinars through IECR. I was not planning to do it.
You should come out with some guidelines.
Webinars, yeah. I think Asokan, you have to work hard. Every webinar should have some messages. Which can be circulated through this. It was PK Asokan who said, Vivek, why don't you do a webinar? You have so much relationship all over the world. And you can call anybody from international level.
We started a webinar in India coordinating everybody in different fields.
He said you have the potential, you should do it. So if he had not pointed me out, I would not have done it. Thank you, Asokan, for that. Thank you, Saytender. Thank you, Pankaj.
I will expect few tips for this, sir.
Okay, we'll do the next time. I'll tell you more tips about this because already
maybe मेरे WhatsApp कर दीजिएगा बीच में in the meantime.
I'll send you WhatsApp. Thank you so much
in the meantime.
For everybody joining. The vote of thanks has been done. Saytender, please. Batchmates also. We should try to join the batchmates, the MBBS batchmates. Okay, thank you very much, Yashpaul and everybody else. So I thank Jack Lewin once again that he came in. Kailash Vijayvargiye sahab, despite his busy schedule, he came. Jaipratap Singh is very busy these days. He's a health minister of Uttar Pradesh. He came because of my small request. So I'm really thankful. I tried to bring Honorable Prime Minister once, at least for 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Let me try and send a mail to him if he can make it and give a message to all the medical fraternity what he's thinking at this point of time. Thank you very much. Once again, this is 5th of June, 9:30 p.m. Thank to everybody And bye-bye. And we meet soon. We are planning for the Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
If I have time, I'll do on Tuesday or only once in Wednesday or Thursday. Thank you.